Oh, good evening. Hey, folks. Finally, we're on the air. Sorry, I had a little bit of technical glitches going on, so I'm a little late getting on, but we're here. It's Friday night, November the 9th. I finally got the month right after the first three tries, so maybe this will be a good night from now on out. So I'm Rusty and from Stunthangar Control Line Forums, and we'll hang out here until about 12 o'clock. I'll be your host. And if the conversation gets good, we'll hang in there until 1 o'clock or 1:30 in the morning. Our record's almost 2 o'clock now, so no telling what might happen when the diehards get in here about midnight and a half. So anyway, glad to be here. I'm a little frazzled right now trying to get the computer working. Had to rush. Apologize for that, but it looks like y'all were waiting in the wings because I have 10 viewers on YouTube. Nobody's posted anything as of yet, but all of you are welcome, and we're looking forward to seeing what you got to say. Looking forward to some video viewers coming in, and see, I can sit back and relax now and enjoy our evening in front of the computer. So I hope everybody had a good week. Oh, hey, Tom Creasy, man, people been asking about you, buddy. Hope you're doing okay. Hope your dad's doing okay. And maybe you can come in live with us if you are in a location with adequate bandwidth, which applies to everybody. Some of you are restricted to YouTube just because of bandwidth. We got David Phelps. Hey, David, nice to see you. And Night Nav, Frank, Frank. All right. I would have remembered it if you hadn't pointed that out. So good to have you here, Frank. And everybody's dropping in like normal. Got 12 of you viewing on the tube now. Hoping we get some live visitors in. And I guess the technical glitches weren't unusual because it's been that kind of week for me. The week from hell is finally over. But all's good in Columbia, except it's cold and rainy and starting to look like Kansas. I would have probably remembered that too. That's Jack Snavely. He's from Kansas. And we're not in Kansas anymore. We're in South Carolina. And so all we've got is a kind of chilly and gloomy rainy day going on right now. Night, actually. I think it's supposed to be another gloomy rainy day tomorrow. So I don't know, maybe a good day for just hanging out and chilling. Maybe I'll hobble out to the shop and see if I can think up anything to do productively. Sweep up a little if I can sweep with one arm and one leg. And man, those guys come to clean the yard up these days. And now that me and Holly are both getting to be elderly and can't handle a lot of the routine yard work, and they do a great job. They come in here with the the hydraulic mowers and just blast it in about 30 minutes, do the whole yard. And we got a pretty big yard. It's more than an acre. I don't know how much more, but every time they drive by the shop, there's a little bit of a gap underneath the doors, and they blow leaves about 15 feet into the shop, and so it gets all musty and mildewy smelling, especially in rainy weather. And so I gotta get out there and see if I can get that mess cleaned up a little bit. I hate it when that happens, but it's worth it to get the job done. And actually, if we told them to please sweep that out, we would not get any problem from them on that. But anyway, makes it smell like your grandfather's workshop. That's what I always think of. And people have walked into my shop and gone, boy, it's been a long time since I felt that smell. Thinking back to when they were a kid and their grandfather or uncle or somebody let them play with power drills and saws inside their workshop. And that's when I first got started with power tools. My granddad used to let me play out in his shop. He was a pretty master woodworker. I don't know if he'd had any formal training in woodwork, but he was an architect and an engineer, actually, engineer by trade and training, but an architect by hobby. I think he just enjoyed drawing technical drawings and that sort of thing. And then when you do technical drawings, you got to build something. So take your drawings out to the shop and build furniture. In fact, we still got some of his furniture in the house here that he made as far back as when I was a kid. But anyway, I'm ready for some live visitors to come in, along with Jack and Frank and David and Thomas. And somebody tell me about what y'all did for fun this week. We've been having some great conversations. Some new members have been in and out lately, and it's always nice to get people with new skill sets, because our hobby of aeromodeling is just sets and subsets of different hobbies, from engines to building to all different types of building with different materials, painting, and engines is my favorite part of it. You know, I've told everybody on here many times that's what got me into it. If that Cox plastic no, it wasn't a PT-19, it was a Mustang. If it hadn't had that sticker on it that said real gas engine, I would have probably never gotten into the hobby, because that's why I picked it up. Had to have that real gas engine, although it didn't run on real gas. I came to find out later it ran on alcohol and a little vitamin N. So I got my sensual bunny cup here, fornicating bunnies. That's my good luck coffee cup, with my favorite legal stimulant inside of it. I went to the hospital this week by appointment to have my last pre-surgical checkout to make sure I can get this hip fixed. So y'all won't have to listen to me whine about that for too much longer. And I passed all the physical requirements and tests with flying colors. So the date of the surgery is still on for November 21st. We're going to get fixed for the last time, and I'll be back in action, just like I hoped I would be last year. Almost was, not quite. This time it'll stick. So figured I might as well announce that. That was one good thing that happened during the week from hell. And as for the rest of it, it can stay where it belongs, behind me. But come on, somebody join me live. I know Sparky's probably out there. He's probably eating supper, maybe. So after you finish supper, Sparky, come in and join us. And hey, Ron Hass usually comes and bails me out. I wonder where old Ron is tonight. I didn't think of any show and tell. Heck, I didn't think of anything when I found out the computer wasn't working 10 minutes before the dadgum show started. It was like a Chinese fire drill around here, trying to get things rebooted and fired back up. But I guess Sparky won't fire me if I have a little dead air time while I sit back watching y'all watch me, watch myself on the screen. Also got my lucky triple tree Stunt champion shirt on. Can't go wrong with that. Now let's see, what else have we got going on here? We got 14 viewers watching me do nothing. So I'll remind you, like I always do, I didn't go through that tonight, that the link to come in live is on the Stunthangar control line forums. If you are a member and are logged in, you can see the thread that provides the link that allows you to come in here to the video chat, and you have to be logged into Stunthangar. Jackson Avley says, well, been messing with my small engines, so do we call them engines or motors? Well, you know, I don't know. Going back historically, I know that when I had a small block Chevy, we called it a mouse motor, and that would be anything of the 4-inch bore variety in that neighborhood, like a 327 or a 350. I think it still had a 4-inch bore. Let's see, the 327 had a 3 1/4 inch stroke, and I think the 350 had a 3 5/8 inch stroke, or something like that. But we called it a mouse motor, and then other people called them engines. But a rat motor was a big block Chevy engine, you know, like a 427, and we called it a motor. But when I got into aeromodeling, people used to get snarky and tell me that if it fuel, it was an engine, and if it ran on electrons, it was a motor. So I think it's all just a bunch of bullshit, and you just call it what you want to. Don't you think so, Tom?
What's that?
The
What's the bullshit
between a motor and an engine? Jackson Avley over on YouTube says he's been messing with his small engines. He wants to know, do we call them engines or motors? And then David Phelps asks, why do the stunt guys run their engines so rich? Okay, well, we got something to talk about now. So we'll get back to that, David. That is a good question of the night. Unless the place fills up with electric heads, then we'll just have to beat them back with a stick and talk about rich running stunt engines, stunt motors, whatever. So how you doing, Tom?
Pretty good.
You're my first video visitor so far.
Things are slowing down to getting back to kind of, you know, an even kill. And
how's Dad doing?
He's doing
just
a long road, bro.
Yeah. Well,
long road.
Yeah.
I am I'm starting a new wing.
I hope it's going to be straighter than that sheet of wood you got in front of you.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, this is going to be wet, and it's going to be it's going to go over this buck.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing tonight. Been the last couple days, you know, I made my bucks and trying to get organized and trying to get to do something, trying to get some building done. So how you been?
Not so good, but things are looking up. I guess I don't know how much you've been keeping up.
I've been trying to keep up on Facebook on Control Line Flying.
Yeah, I go to Facebook once a month or so. But you know, my back in early summer, I was doing pretty good. My hip had healed up pretty good, and I had put the cane down and was starting to walk around, looking forward to getting back in the circle and flying, and all the hardware just came loose. And so the previously repaired hip more or less just fell apart. So I've been on a walker,
Right.
putting no weight on it really. And so I have spent the past month or so getting worked up for a full replacement, a full hip replacement, and that I finally got confirmed. I'm in top shape and qualified in every way for the surgery, and that's going to happen on November the 21st. That's the Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and we're looking optimistic. All the doctors and everybody seem to think this has a lot better chance of hanging on and working than that internal repair job they did with the pins and clamps last December. And so I'm going with that word, and looking forward to it healing up. And if I can just make it through this winter without catching any, colds or anything that will impede my recovery, then
Yeah, you can't.
circle this spring. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this shit of sitting around. Thank goodness for this show. It's all that keeps my head in the game. And I went to Huntersville back in October and sat on Geezer Avenue, which is what I call the long row of benches in front of the shed that overlooks the top circle, and that's where all the walkers and wheelchairs are parked with all us old gray hairs. And I also took my Super Satan that Tom Luciano gave me. You might have heard about that. He gave me one that he built when he first got back into control line. Super Satan's a badass machine. It's a potentially 120-mile-an-hour stunter.
Wow.
And he and Al Ferraro built a needle bearing Fox 36X for it, which is not quite as fast as the ball bearing, but they clocked it with a faulty needle setting and still ran 108 miles an hour out there at Huntersville with it. Mike Lunke flew it. And so they put a couple of flights on it. I got it on camera, put it on my YouTube channel, and that was big fun. So, I had a good time at Huntersville. That was a real shot of excitement that I hadn't had in a long time. But to answer your question, that's pretty much where I am right now. Hadn't built anything. The Cardinal is still waiting for me to build its wing. Fuselage is done, not painted, but it's built. And
I got to fly the Ringmaster Flyathon.
oh, great! I had my little baby.
I got to do that flying. So that was what I got to go to 2 events all year, 3 events: the SIG, the Kid Cancer, and Ringmaster Fly. And guess what? I flew the Crusader.
Oh, did you?
For the first time ever. And the guy that gave me the airplane, all I had to do was finish it, right?
Yeah.
He was there also. So he got to see it the first time, and I let him fly it, and he flew it 2 or 3 times doing maneuvers. But boy, does it have a washout in the wing, though. I had to put a tab for on the right wing tip, because the inboard wing was so high that I could almost see the outboard wing from underneath.
The Associate Attorney General, then the Solicitor General, then the Assistant Attorney
Yeah,
General.
looks like Charles Carter's joining us.
Hey guys.
Hey, Charles. So you had to put a Tom Creasy's in here with us, Charles.
Hey Tom, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good.
Long time no see.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
So Tom, you're talking about the plane we were calling the Gobble Swans, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Top side is a Gobble Swan, but the bottom side is a Crusader. Because everyone kept telling me, oh, it's a Gobble Swan. Everyone kept telling me it's a Crusader. I think it's a Crusader myself. But
So do most other people around here. Yeah.
yeah, so
So that's cool that the guy that built it was there to see it made. And
yep.
so after you got the trim tab on it,
The trim, right now I got it flying level, and it was really gusty and windy, and I don't know. I might have something wrong with their rudders. I might have the rudders off a little bit because when I was going into the wind, the ass end was yawing like this back and forth, just like this while it was flying into the wind, and then it would smooth out, and then it would come around and start yawing like this, and then fly out straight again.
there's a lot of things that could cause that.
Right.
What's in the land? Is it just got wire landing gear, or does it have spats on it?
Wire, just wire. I don't do any spats because the grass I fly on, you know, it's always high, it's always thick. So I'd like to wear pants and spats, but one of these days when I get to flying on asphalt or concrete somewhere, you know, and
Yeah.
then I'll have some planes. What I ought to
The
do,
reason I ask is because they can be a liability if they're not perfectly straight into the wind.
exactly. And I took my time on them rudders, getting the incidences and the angles and perpendicular and it took me hours to just put on them two.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to add a degree of out thrust just to make sure that they're not hunting being at zero
But
incidents.
I think I got another problem also is it pulls really hard. It
Okay.
pulls hard. And you get halfway through the flight and you wanting to grab it with the other hand.
Yeah.
And
Have you got outboard thrust on the engine?
yes, I got 1 degree.
That's not
I had
much.
2 degrees and I backed it off to 1 degree. And I had to get the trim tab set up right first. And then my next trimming session is going to be the lead outs.
Why don't you try putting 0 on the outboard engine and 1 degree on the inboard engine?
No, I only have 1 engine. Remember?
Oh, okay.
I got the twin boom, but I've got a single
Engine. Okay, gotcha.
Now tricycle landing gear.
Yeah.
Now that is something else to take off. Tricycle. Oh man, I love it.
I've never landed or taken off with tricycle before.
Wow.
I never had
It's really great. I really like it.
Yeah, it's really good. I've used the tricycle landing gear. I like it. I'm looking forward to my next build actually has a tricycle landing gear.
Yeah.
Especially taking off. That's what I'm really looking forward to, is be able to take off.
You like to rotate up on the mains and then lift off, or just pick the whole plane?
Exactly. And then land the same way, land on the mains, and then at the last minute the nose comes down.
Yeah.
But listening to you, I know I just joined the conversation. I have a question, Tom. As far as the swirliness of the plane, do you notice it like downwind and it's less upwind, or it was the same all the time?
The yawing?
Yeah.
Going into the wind and sideways of the wind, and you're starting to go downwind, and it just levels right out and it just flies real straight. And then once it starts getting into the wind, getting sideways, and she starts yawing like this, then she'll straighten up.
I thought you at first was describing weather veining, but that's not weather veining. Weather veining is exactly it's different. When the plane is upwind, the plane will push against the rudders, and it'll pull away from you. And then when it goes downwind, that same wind, it lightens the pull. So that's what I thought you was suffering. And if you was suffering that, I was suggesting just shave the rudders down just a little bit.
So it's like horizontal hunting, sort of. back
Yeah.
and forth. And does it? It does it going up and downwind, or just going?
It's just as you're going, as the plane's coming around, and you're start to go into the wind.
Yeah.
And then you go a little bit more, and it starts yawing back and forth. And then when the wind is completely sideways of the plane, it really does it. It really does it. And then it lightens back up. And then as you start going downwind, she'll stop and just fly level all the way around until you get into the wind again.
Did it change much when you put the trim tab on it? Did that affect that part of it any?
No. But it was nice not to see the underneath of the outboard wing. That's how bad it was. The first flight. I was like, shit. I was going around the circle, you know.
Yeah.
And, we had gusts that day up to 25 to 30 miles an hour.
The top of the outboard wing.
Huh?
That's better than seeing the top of the outboard wing.
Oh yeah. That's true. Everyone, you know. But let me tell you, it was an eye catcher, boy. To see that thing up in the air and fly, oh, I just loved it.
A lot of people walk up.
Do you want me to share you a little 20-second clip of it?
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Well, I don't know. You know Larry Lindbergh?
No?
No, he's my coach. He's a really good guy.
You have a coach now?
I've always had him, but he's 2 hours away, and we try to get together, you know, but it's hard.
That's right. You have a coach, but he won't fly your plane. That's right.
Right. Well, guess what? He flew this time. He flew it this time. And it was great.
Here's an answer on YouTube about that yawing. Frank on YouTube says that he had a twin boom RC plane that did that, and he corrected it by offsetting each rudder out about 2 degrees.
What? Offset them oppositely?
No, offsetting each one. Oh, yeah, I think he means, tell us, Frank, you mean both of them in the same direction to the outside, like to push the tail in a little bit. He'll come back and answer that. Terry Forbes says, how much side thrust in the motor is in Tom's plane? Tom says 1 degree.
1 degree.
1 degree.
Man, where did I put my video?
Tom, did you say you had 1 degree of thrust in the engine?
Yeah, I had 1 degree. I'm over here trying to mess with my trying to find that video. My laptop is on the other side of my shop.
Okay, Frank came back and said both out, so they were opposite. Okay, so standing behind the plane, the outboard rudder was kicked to the right and the inboard rudder was kicked to the left, if I understand correctly.
I years ago I was flying RC, and there was a double tail, and he had something similar to that. That's why I asked if it was offset 1 degree to the right and the other one was 1 degree to the left.
Yeah, I think that's what Frank's saying. And Terry Forbes is also saying go to 3 degrees on the engine. And Frank confirms that we are correct in our understanding of the rudder adjustment.
3 degrees on the engine. I've got a lot of pull already.
I think that's what you mean, isn't it, Terry? Terry, can you come in live?
Yeah, I don't know. Man.
I don't know, Tom. Try, just do one thing at a time and see what works. It's just going to be trial and error. But I like the rudder ideas. That
I think so too.
That'll give it more drag.
But you know that
ass out, I bet.
Yeah,
try doing it in the other direction just for the hell of it.
Let me. I'll be right back. Let me get my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, Rusty, I was actually helping I have a guy that's been coming out to the field, and he bought a Rodak Ringmaster ARF, and so I've been going over to his house helping him put it together. And today he has a metal tank. It's one of those stubby ones that are designed for ringmasters and flag streaks. You know, it's kind of short and stubby.
Yeah.
And we made some tank brackets and soldered them on, and then mounted them to the fuselage. And so pretty soon this plane's gonna be done, and I'm gonna have a new pilot out there, and he's excited. He's a new guy, and he's really excited to fly.
Is this the guy that just happened upon you one day about 3 or 4 months ago and saw you flying and you got him?
Earlier this year, he actually came out, and he was actually he saw me flying from the road, and he came out, and he's been watching me for a while. He said.
Yeah.
And
What kind of engine you got?
He has a LA-25.
Ah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think so. And that Rodak Ringmaster ARF is it's like a really well-made kit. I'm pretty impressed with it. I mean, that the wing just slides in there with like a tight friction fit. I mean, it's probably going to be just a matter of just wicking in some thin CA.
Yeah.
You guys have Android phone?
I do.
Well, here's why. I can't, this is why I haven't posted it, because I can't get it from my phone to my laptop. What do I send it? I send it by mail, and it says, what, create a link? I can only send 25 megabytes, and my actual size of the video is 42 megabytes.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have to, you got to host it somewhere or use Dropbox, which is, I have Dropbox for that reason. I have to pay $100 for it, but what'd you say?
How do I get it off my phone onto my laptop?
With a cable?
Yeah, that's what I would do. I plug in your USB charging cable.
You know?
Plug in the end that normally goes into the wall. Plug that USB part into your laptop.
Okay, into my laptop.
Yeah.
Right. And then
you might have to go down to you might have to go to power options and tell it to transfer data instead of just charge with the cable.
Right.
One.
Frank's coming in.
Oh, Frank, how you doing, man? Is this Night Nav, Frank?
Yes, it is. How you doing?
Hey,
how's everybody doing tonight?
Hey, Frank. How are you, Frank?
Good, thanks. How you guys?
Doing well.
We're good. I just noticed since Frank was able to jump right in, I don't have my anti-spammer controls turned on, but we'll see how that goes. If any bad boys jump in, then I'll turn them on.
If you see anybody with a helmet, you need to
yeah. Yeah, if he comes in posting any nasty videos, just close your eyes and I'll get it all fixed up.
Okay.
Close my eyes. I'm not resembling.
Glad to have you, Frank. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn those protective controls on. It makes it a pain for me, but it's still better.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, let's see
what we can do here.
It's great to have someone excited and new about control line. You know, it's nothing like somebody a new recruit.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite aspect of control line, Frank? Do you like to just sport fly, or do you fly competitively, stunt combat, or racing?
Well, I started flying when I was a kid, and then got away from it and flew RC for, I don't know, maybe 48, 50 years.
Wow.
And then I ran into a guy came by the club one day that's been flying for a long time. He's really good builder, and he kind of got me back into it. So for the past couple years, I've been flying stunt. I flew intermediate this year, went to 3 contests.
Good.
And, I'm really liking it. I'm really depressed that winter is setting in, and I'm not going to get a chance to do much until next year.
Yeah. Yeah, control line's fun as hell. I mean, a lot of people have just forgotten how much fun it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. I never thought I'd ever be able to fly that whole pattern. I tried when I was a kid, and I remember my dad sitting out in the middle of the circle with me, reading me, what the next stunt was.
Yeah.
And yeah, but when you finally put it all together, I mean, there's so much to it. There's a lot to the building, getting everything right, and then flying a really good pattern. So superficially, it looks like it's pretty easy stuff. Somebody's just out there going around in a circle, but there's a whole lot to it.
Oh yeah. When I saw the pictures, I said, "Oh, that's a piece of cake. I got that." But I had never seen anybody do it, and I thought they were all right out here in front of you. So I was doing vertical loops like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mean to interrupt you guys. Hang on a second. I got this plugged into the phone. What's it? That's supposed to come up on my computer or something? How in the hell did I get into the phone?
Okay,
Just-
go to you want to go to Windows Explorer and find your phone.
Yeah. Just open my computer or Windows Explorer,
Okay.
and it'll say like something VS 986 or something like that. I think that's what mine says. It's different for every phone, but it'll be on there just like your hard drives. It'll be in that list.
Exactly.
So Window Explorer.
Rusty, I heard you say you were building a Cardinal and you're on hold for it. Is it full body or profile?
No, it's a profile.
Yeah, I just finished one myself. I got two more coats of clear coat if the weather ever opens up for me. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to flying it.
I had an ARF and I flew it really well and won a trophy or two with it. And it was old and fuel soaked, and I had gotten it from another one of our club guys, and it finally just kind of fell apart in mid-flight, and so I really liked it, and it's right in my range of comfort. So yeah, I figured I'd build another one, and I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
And I
Well, I
want
made a lot of changes to it based on my mentor, all the advice he gave me. But
I'm putting a few cosmetic differences on it because I don't like to build planes that look like everybody else's. And so, yeah, I try to do something that I've never done before whenever I build a new model. So, yeah, looking forward to getting this one back in action. I got the fuselage built and it came out really nice and straight. And I've got it clamped into a jig so that even when the weather changes, the moisture doesn't cause it to, move around.
yeah, right.
So Frank, did you say you built a built-up one, or did you build a profile?
I built a profile. Actually, it's behind me here, but you probably can't see it. I don't know if you can.
I can see the rudder and the tail.
Oh, let me click on you.
If I hold it up any higher, I think I'll hit the ceiling.
That's perfect. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah,
It's
I
good.
like
The fuselage is built up. I cut that all out and put basically stringers and diagonal braces and so on in there.
Yeah,
And then sheeted it and then covered the whole thing with carbon veil. So right now it weighs 28 ounces without anything in it. I still had a motor and tank and wheels and all that stuff to get into.
I think you're in good shape weight wise.
Sounds pretty good.
My old fuel soaked ARF weighed 50 ounces and maybe even closer to 54, and it flew fine.
Good.
It's
Yeah.
actually great with an LA-46.
That's exactly what I got to go in it.
Let me give you a tutorial for watching these videos now. If and you might have heard me tell other people too, if somebody's holding something up that you want to get a good close look at, but their picture's not always there. It depends on who's making the most noise as to whose picture is up. If you will click on their thumbnail on the little film strip near the bottom, just one click and it'll get a white border around it, and then your screen locks in on that
Okay.
and then when you're through, you can click it again or click somebody else, and it'll unlock it. And
Gotcha.
that helps you look at what people are showing us.
Okay.
And I've got my anti-spammer controls on now, so the next time people come in, they'll be dark and muted, and I'll have to manually approve them before they can come in. I think, is it true, Charles, that when they come in, that you all can see them? I know that it's completely blind in the YouTube recording, but us guys that are on here locally, you can see the spammers when they come in, can't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so, but I found out recently looking at reruns that they don't show. You can't even tell they're there. You just see me cursing at them. So I got to quit doing that.
I missed that one when you cursing at him. I haven't seen that one yet.
I try not to really. I don't want to feed them any more of what they came for, because they come just to piss us off, I think. And so I try not to react, just quietly mute them and eject them.
Yeah, yeah.
And talking about them is probably attracting them now, so no telling what might happen. But we'll see.
Well, I just sometimes think he wants to get a rise out of me,
But somebody sounded like the other day they were saying he came for you, but I don't remember him saying anything specific like that. But I could have missed it because my attention gets focused to the control system when they're in here, so I might have missed that. But in the past, yeah, you're right. They have come after you, specifically targeted. Frank, where are you located?
I'm in the Philadelphia area. I actually live in Delaware, but Philadelphia.
Do you know are you anywhere near the Philly Flyers?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're very close to those guys, Banjock
Okay,
and
so yeah, Ken Cook and Sean and all those guys, Larry Wilkes and John.
Yeah, actually, I grew up in that area. I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia. That their flying site was, just a couple minutes from the house where I grew up when I was a kid.
That's the most fun group of guys. I was disappointed nobody but Danny showed up this year at Huntersville.
Yeah, I was talking about that. I hope to be able to try and get down there next year for that one. That sounded like a lot of fun. I mean, I saw your videos and stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I always come away from Huntersville with a hoarse throat and a warm fuzzy that lasted me just about the rest of the whole week.
Oh, that's cool.
Great fun.
Yeah.
What are we waiting on? Tom to get something to show us?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure this out, boys.
Oh yeah, your telephone. What's going on with it now? What are you seeing?
Oh, it's not allowing. I've got to turn something on my phone, and it says choose transfer files, file transfer. I can't find that on my phone at all. Anything that says transfer file or file transfer.
Well, what happens when you go to your computer and look for the phone in the list of your hard drives and stuff? Do you see your phone there?
It says we're having trouble connecting. Make sure your device is unlocked and that you accept the notification to connect.
Okay.
And
let me pick mine up. Let me pick mine up and see what it says. The Android phones are not all necessary.
I've been trying to get this video thing off my phone into my laptop so I could share it.
Now, does your phone, Tom, have a micro SD card?
Have a real tiny one.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Do you have the adapter, SD adapter for that?
Nope.
That's another alternative way, is just to take that micro SD card out of your phone and put it into an SD adapter. Then you can put that adapter into your computer, and then you can just open up, still open up Windows Explorer, like I said, and then you'll see that SD card listed as underneath the C drive and all that kind of stuff, where you should see your phone right now. But that's another way to get that file, find the video, and then you just copy or cut, and then you would put it onto your computer that way. Then you can just go ahead and play it through your computer.
Yep. Well,
yeah, that happens. Just like I've tried to show videos that are on my PC on this Google Hangout unsuccessfully. It always is a totally black screen, and I don't know why I can't show videos. I've always would love to. I can show pictures, I just can't show videos. I can't screen share a video like I can pictures. Yeah.
Well, shit. Oh well.
Frustrating.
Yeah. I just don't have I need a kid over here.
I'm scrolling through settings right now, seeing if I can find out what you might be missing.
Oh. You always get disconnected.
Hey, yeah, unplug. I think Charles was about to say the same thing. Unplug the power cable from the phone and just plug it back in, and see if a pop-up message comes up that gives you anything to push to allow data transfer.
Okay. I'm doing that now. Okay, up on my computer, it says a window popped up, says having trouble connecting.
On your phone, what does it say?
Nothing. Let's see. Transfer files. Hey, I got it.
All right.
Okay.
Man, that was weird.
It should be in one of the messages you can drag down from the top.
Hey. By God, I got it.
All right. Now it acts just like another drive. It's, click on the main phone, then DICM, then it's not in the folder that says videos or pictures. It'll be in something else that sounds like it has nothing to do with it, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it'll be in your camera folder. It'll be in camera, probably.
Yep. Selecting. I selected 3 videos right now, and it's downloading.
Okay. All right. It'll take it a few minutes.
It's already downloaded.
All right. Maybe it won't. That's
Now,
why I said it was short video.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, my computer. I love it, man. It's just zippity pow pow. It's quick. I had a kid buy me a computer. I told him, I said, look, I wanted to do videos. I want to do Hangouts, and I don't want to have a problem. And he goes, okay. And this is what I got, and it's great.
Very good.
What kind of machine is it?
It's a Dell, and it's got the Palladium 5 instead of the normal 3 or 4 what people get.
You mean it's the i5, you mean, or Pentium?
Pentium, probably.
Yeah.
You sure it's not the i5?
Not
it's a Dell. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because Pentium is an older generation processor. The new
that's right, it is, and
I mean, they've made updates to it. It's not the same Pentium we had back in the day, but the newer processors are the i series, the i3, the i5.
This sucks. I can't find it. Doesn't it download? Doesn't it download into? I don't know where it downloaded to.
Well,
neither do I.
Usually
when I download something, it goes.
I made my own download folder on the desktop.
Right. That's, oh, hey, let me check the desktop again. Well, I just refreshed the my page. Sometimes I don't refresh enough.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Might be in my documents. My documents download.
Okay.
Documents download.
Okay. No.
I actually, yeah.
God. Can you believe it?
If you press the Windows key and then just type downloads, it'll find it. I put my downloads folder in Dropbox.
The window key and push download.
No, press the Windows key and type downloads. And it'll show you a list of folders and try to pick the right one.
Try to pick the no, wasn't that one.
Damn, boy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what happened to it. I'm going to try it all over again.
No need to re-download. Just find your downloads folder. It's probably like Frank said, it's in my documents /downloads.
Okay, transfer files or photos.
It doesn't matter. I pick files. Because if you press photos, it'll look for just photo extensions like JPEG. Files will show everything, like MP4s. Or WMV, but it won't be a WMV.
Okay, let's go to import settings first.
Yeah, that'll tell you.
Change import destination. Let's do this crap. So
where it's currently set to before you change it. Because wherever it's currently set is where your files are.
Okay, now.
We have someone trying to join us.
Oh, is there? Sorry about that. Let me let him in. That looks like Doran. It is. Thank you for letting me know.
Sure.
Hey, Doran.
Hello.
We're sitting here trying to figure out how to get Tom's flying videos from his phone to his computer right now.
Hey, I'm on a I think I can figure this out now.
All right.
I think I got it.
You found him?
No, I'm creating a folder first.
Okay. So while you're doing that, let's see what Doran's been doing this week while we were all out having fun. What'd you do? What'd you do this week, Doran?
Not a whole lot. I'm working on a new twister.
Oh, really?
For my boy, yeah.
Is it a Walter Umlin twister or a SIG stock twister?
Stock.
What kind of machine?
Everything is stock. It's not worth it for me to go and do anything extra past that point.
Yeah. I've got the Walter Umlin twister. I've been really happy with it. It's so stiff with doublers and triplers on both sides of the nose. It's got a big old fat nose, and it'll take a lick. I've proved that.
Yeah,
The wing
I need
proving it.
for electric. It's gonna be electric.
Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of lighten up the nose a little bit.
Right. Yeah. You don't have the same vibration problem that us IC guys fight with all the time.
Yeah. So yes. So I actually cut the motor mounts in half. I'm only using half of them, and then the plywood doublers, I put them on one side, on the outboard side, and I cut the whole shape. Then I glue the inboard side, so I have like a trough over there. A lot of it is gone, so there's not much there. Uh, what else did I do? I machined a motor mount. That's I think in the future I can go to a bigger motor if I need to, but I don't think so. I think what I have right now is still okay.
Yeah.
Plenty good what I have right now.
When you're comparing electric motors to internal combustion motors, for instance, compared power to power, the power of an LA-46 as compared to the equivalent in an electric motor, what is the difference in the weight of the motor itself? Or is there a big weight difference between the two motors comparatively?
Well, if you add it up, the weight of the motor plus the weight of the fuel tank and the fuel lines and all that,
Yeah.
you kind of
All that.
electric might be a little bit heavier. All depends. It all depends how you how you put your stuff inside the model.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We hear it.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's up, John?
Right now, I don't know what I'm gonna have.
Shit.
I just made the little fixture here, so
Oh, wow.
So I can bolt my motors in here and check them with a with an amp meter and start to do some real testing. What I want to do a testing right now is I have 3 motors that are virtually identical. They're all the same frame, same weight, same everything, except for one is designed for 6S on and has very low kilovoltage. Is the one I have in my plane right now. And I have another one that's I think it's what I call the mid-range kilovoltage 680, and I think that's going to work well on 5S. And I have another one that has 820 kilovolts. It's going to work well on 4S system. So the test here is to I'm just curious.
You hear another noise.
If you change the what will happen if you change the motor kilovoltage and rating, power rating, for the same RPM, same propeller, same everything, right? So I'm gonna probably try to find, and also I want to find the maximum RPM that they can actually handle.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a nice experiment because then what I would like to do next, I would like to try to see what happens if you change different propellers. What if you go lower RPM and higher pitch?
Yeah.
And what's the result for that? And so long story short, I'm setting up to do a little bit of experimentation to get a more clear understanding of electric and electric setups.
Yeah. So, make sure I'm understanding correctly when you're talking about kilovolts, or it's actually thousands of RPMs per volt is what that rating is all about, isn't it? In other words, a certain amount of voltage creates
Uh-huh.
a certain amount of RPM.
But actually, you look at it, it says kilovolts, but actually it's the rating. It's actually actual RPMs. So I may say 570 kilovolts is not doesn't mean it's 570,000 RPMs per every volt. It's actually 570 RPM.
Yeah.
I don't know why they rate them in kilovolts, but I guess it's just a standard that's generally accepted, and even though it's a bit of a mistake.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
It took me a while to figure that out. Being an electronics guy from way back, I was thinking a kilovolt is 1,000 volts, and I'm like, I'm what? You know, that just doesn't make sense. But okay, so I think I'm getting a grip on what it really means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, some people just they don't understand the whole lot and they copy other stuff. Other people are trying to understand what they are actually doing there.
Yeah. Oh, Steve Hines is trying to come in. Let me get him approved. And okay, Steve. All right, Steve.
There, Thomas.
Hey guys.
Hey, Steve. How you doing tonight?
Not too bad. Hey Tom, long time no see.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, and we got another new viewer, formerly, well, not formerly, but Night Nav over on YouTube is now Frank in person. So Frank's in here with us.
How you doing, Steve?
Hey, how's it going, man? Good to see you.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, man. It's a lot more fun in here than on watching on YouTube.
Yeah, you can get in trouble real quick.
Yeah.
You can't get in trouble when you're just watching. You got to participate, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, I got that video. You guys want to see it? It's just like 20 seconds, but it is kind of cool.
Yeah. After that, David Phelps asked a question we'll address when we get to that.
Here we go.
All right, screen share. Everybody click on his window.
You kidding me? I messed it up. Cancel. Am I still screen sharing?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, it's a picture of your desk right now. No, you're not screen sharing.
I'm not? Okay.
No.
All right. Whew, this is difficult.
Yeah, it is.
It's been a while. I can't remember. All right. Okay, we'll do it that way. Here we go. I think I got it figured out this time.
Yeah, there you go. Now you'll pick there. Okay.
All right.
Here it comes. And it'll be choppy. It's not as good as watching it in real life. All right. There she is.
If you guys make one more vertical video, I'm going to shoot you.
That's it. That's one.
Okay.
And the other one?
Well, he was flying some loops and stuff, right?
Yeah, outside loops.
Oh, you let somebody else fly your airplane?
Yeah, listen.
Guess what, Ricky? You're flying it next. Yes, you are. Come on, man.
He wouldn't fly it. But anyway, yeah, I let you know Larry, Steve, Larry Lindbergh. Yeah, he flew. He's the one that gave me the airplane. Am I done sharing now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Back on. Well,
I don't know. Are you done sharing?
I don't know. That took me a while, but hey, I've been trying for a month or so trying to get that video onto my laptop.
Yeah, you learned something new
So
now.
where have you been? Have you been at your dad's or?
Yeah, I've been both places. I've just been helter skelter. It's just one place to the other place to the other place. I'm trying to keep a schedule and trying to So far this year, I've made $2,100.
Damn.
Oh boy.
That's how much I've made this year. That's it.
Damn, the year's almost over too.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a couple of questions to address. First off, early on, one of the guys asked about running engines. Why do we run them so rich? That was David Phelps. Okay, and David also asked just a minute ago, how do we control the electric motor with control line, timer, radio transmitter? Question mark. So who would like to address that question? David Phelps has no idea how we operate a control line plane with an electric motor.
Through the timer, whatever timer you decide to buy.
Yeah, you've got an engine control and a timer, and between those two, you set how fast the engine runs, it starts, and when it shuts off. And there's other more complex things you can do. For instance, you've got thrust sensors and some that can increase and decrease the power output depending on whether you're climbing or diving. And that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, that setup basically with the Igor setup is both the ESC and the timer.
Yeah. And ESC stands for what?
Electronic
speed control.
Electronic speed control.
Electronic speed control.
Yeah. Okay. Igor's is done more through the electronic speed control, and you just plug in your sensor to it. I'm not sure. You can program that sensor on a few little things.
Yeah. And there are different people build several different types.
Right, yeah.
There's the one that Igor Berger makes. There's the one that Keith Renical makes, and there's one called a Cuban. Somebody Cuban makes. I guess.
Yeah, there's the guy from Fernetti or something like that. He's out of Brazil, which is more like Igor's timer.
Yeah.
Fiorotis.
Yeah.
So, David, there's several different types, but basically speed control circuitry and timer circuitry and lithium ion polymer batteries.
Yeah, I used to, for the real small stuff, I used to like the, not tower. Shit, I can't think. Horizon had a little timer. I got like 3 of them. And for little 15s and half A's, all you did was just it was just constant speed. You set the speed of the propeller, and how many times you push the button was 30 seconds.
Yeah, to give you time to walk out to the handle and pick it up.
No, that was how long it went.
Oh.
You hit that button, it started, then you had to count it through, and then it took off. But yeah, there was no delay. You had to launch that one. You had to have somebody launch it. But I liked them. I mean, I'm always flying with somebody anyway. Yeah.
David also has another question at the other end of the spectrum.
What was that now?
I'm sorry, I stepped on Dorian.
Types as there are manufacturers.
Yeah.
Each manufacturer has a different type, a slightly different way of setting it. But more or less, all they do is just they turn off the motor and turn it off, and they set an RPM in the flight.
Yeah.
So, Doran, what timer were you using in that composite plane you were showing us last week?
It's the Igor timer.
You got the Igor system.
Yeah. I also have a Fiorotti timer. I'm not sure which one I like more, and I haven't tested the Fiorotti simply because when I went to the Nats, I didn't want to mess with something that I didn't know. And when I went to the Nats, I was there with Mark McKinney, and Mark McKinney was already using the Igor. He was familiar with the Igor system. He was familiar with the electronic speed controller settings on that particular system, and I said I don't have time to learn to do anything to experiment, so I just went with the devil I know.
Right.
The Ferretti too. That he's got one for twins. He's got one for landing gear.
Yes.
Which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, Fiorotti will. The Fiorotti timer also has a landing gear option if you want to have retracts on your plane. So, and it's all of that is programmable.
Yeah.
And also Fiorotti, I think, has also an option on a different model for a twin plane.
Yeah.
Where you can actually set the power independently on both motors.
Yeah.
So if you want to have them both pulling the same, you can do that. Or if you want to have one that pulls more than the other one, you can also do that.
That would save you from having to put shims wedging the motor out at an angle if you wanted to just increase the RPM a certain percentage on the inboard motor, to get a little more yaw out or something like that.
If that is what you are looking for, it's an option, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of use it for trimming a little bit there.
Oh, let's see. We got, I thought somebody was trying to come in. Let's see. No, everybody's here. Okay. Well, at the other end of the spectrum, David Phelps asked earlier in the show is why do us IC guys run our stunt engines so rich?
Who's going to answer that?
It depends on what engine. Some of them, aren't all that rich.
Run rich. Some.
There's a Fox rich, and then there's,
Then there's LA
46 on a pipe rich. I mean, they're a little bit different.
These engines, some of these modern engines were originally made for remote control planes and were never meant to run rich. And so when we go for an engine run, we will run more steady and set it rich enough to where it kind of crackles, and when you pull up to make a climb, it'll lean out a little bit because of the gravity pulling against the fuel as the plane climbs, and the engine will speed up and give you a little bit more horsepower in the climbs, and vice versa. In the dives, it'll richen up and slow the engine back down in a dive so that you're not doing 100 miles an hour towards the ground in a square loop or something like that. But there's so many different schools of thought, and they all began with the earliest engines back in the 40s and 50s with steel engines and different types of porting systems that weren't as sophisticated as today's, and you could run some radical 4-2 brakes, which is not really a 4-stroke and a 2-stroke, but that's what we call it because it fires when it's really rich. It fires on every other cycle instead of every cycle, and gives you a drop in thrust for just flat laps. And then when you pull up again, the weight of the fuel and the gravity causes the engine to richen up and run fast and hit on every stroke, so you get more horsepower in the climb. As you come around the top, the opposite happens and the engine slows back down into what they call a 4-stroke, a deceptive term. And it's not really a 4-stroke, but that's just the name that that was adopted. But most people today, let's say the most popular engines in LA 46, and you pretty much run a 2-stroke on it all the way around. And the most popular way to do it is to start with a wet 2-stroke, peak it and then back off until it's crackling, and then it will pretty much give you the run that you want Once you find out how you like that engine to run, how that engine itself likes to run, what prop it likes to run with, and the speed you want your laps, you always set it the same way, so you know how much fuel to use, and regulate your speed with your line length if you have to. And once you find the engine's happy spot, the last little minute speed adjustment can be done with line length rather than the needle. The needle is not to be used as a throttle, as a general rule. Only to get the engine running where its temperature is stable and its fuel usage is stable. Was that a good enough explanation?
Well, that was I think it was a really good explanation. Now to add a little wrinkle to it, my stalker motor is such a torquey motor. I could actually run it super rich, and it would just stay there the whole time. I had enough torque to do the whole pattern. So there's all different kinds of methodology of the stunt run, so the advantage of running it really slow for me with the stalker is that when the wind would push the plane, it really wouldn't speed up very much, as opposed to a 4-2 brake when when Rusty was talking and describing the motor running rich then speeding up. That works great and maybe calm weather, but if it's really windy, when the engine speeds up, the wind helps it, and next thing you know, you have faster and faster and faster loops that can be kind of hard to control sometimes. So
Yeah.
it all depends upon the setup.
Well, what you just described there is the where your motor is happy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top priority.
And that's what that was said before. You gotta find out where the engine is happy, and you keep the engine there. And in order to change so that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Now with my stalker being like an 81, it is pretty powerful motor. It's the power range was happy in a big range. I could be happy with the low RPM and do the stun pattern, and the motor was happy, or I could speed it up
Mm-hmm.
and it still be happy. It was a wider,
Yes.
power range. When you have a smaller motor, that range is more compressed, and you have to find that sweet spot, and it's a smaller sweet spot.
Which leads
True.
us to
And
the next question. You keep going, Dorian. I'll follow up when you finish.
what I want to say about motors in general, you were saying something about in a wind, motor picking up and going fast and stuff like that, and they have a runaway. Well, that's usually people that set the motors properly. They don't have that issue in a wind,
Right.
and usually the motor is gonna run fine, wind or not. Once you find a sweet spot for the motor. But if you try to run the motor outside of that sweet spot where it's super happy, then you will ask for all kinds of problems.
Okay, David says also he comes back with seems to me like he could use a much smaller engine running at peak to get the same power set, just a little rich to handle maneuvers and save a bunch of weight. That's true, but you don't want to underpower it to the point where all of a sudden you need horsepower and don't have it. So you don't want to go too small and run it at the top of its range. You want enough overhead horsepower so that when the engine is climbing and leaning out, that it's got sufficient horsepower to get over the top on a windy day.
And usually, internal combustion control line planes, they have this big fat airfoil, the wings that have a lot of drag to them, and you need to pull the plane to compensate for that drag that you have on the plane. And because of that, obviously you're going to use more power than you otherwise would use on a comparable plane RC.
Right.
Now, another problem with going with smaller motor is that as they get smaller and smaller, they get more harder and harder to keep them running consistently. As they get bigger and bigger, the opposite happens. And also, as the motors are higher and higher tuned for a higher RPM, like a racing motor or something like that, again, they can be finicky to adjust and set up for a stunt purpose.
That's right.
Mostly
And they and
motors that are designed and made just for this purpose.
Heat is a factor too. You can overheat a smaller engine trying to squeeze the last drop of horsepower out of it.
Yes, and yeah, that's as they get smaller, they are harder to adjust, and they're harder to keep happy because they get hot real fast. And once they get hot, I mean, they stay there and just gonna scream forever.
Yeah, and that's a runaway condition that you do want to avoid, because that can ruin an engine or shorten its life.
Yeah, it's like when I used to race motocross and stuff. We always call it, we're trying to keep the motor, back then 2-strokes, on the pipe. Because the more you squeezed out of them, the harder it was to keep them on the pipe. I mean, you had to be able to shift and really know the motor coming out of a corner, what gear to have it in. Because if you were off what we called the pipe, you had no power. And you're too lean or too rich, and it just didn't like it either way.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same thing that happens with airplane motors. The more highly tuned they are, there's a narrower range to keep that motor creating that maximum horsepower.
Right.
You got rid of all your torque.
You don't want your speed varying from one stunt to the next because of it heating up and cooling down, and or overheating and running away. And one great heat control method is castor oil, because castor doesn't smoke at the temperatures that synthetics will, and when it leaves out the exhaust, it takes heat with it. So more castor is a good heat reduction tool. But
yeah, I always use nitro.
Well, yeah, more nitro runs cooler too.
Yeah, because you got to open up the needle, which then passes more methanol through it.
Did you guys see that video that Sparky was putting out on the polishing?
On what?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Polishing. Well, anyway, he said he was going to make these special tips, and they was real light, and it was in the Stunt News 2009 special edition. If you read that Stunt News, Dave Fitzgerald, Brett Buck, and Paul Walker, they all discussed about gas motors, nitro motors, how to run them, how to set them up. Man, it's a good article to read to let you know about how to set a motor up properly.
What was that again? I'm gonna write it down.
I wish our buddy TD Bandit
2009 Stunt News Special Edition.
I wish our buddy TD Bandit, David Fountain, would come in here and talk. Oh, I got to let Frank Washburn in.
Well, hi, Frank.
Yeah, we'll have you in just a second.
So, Tom,
there you go.
You got a mold there for leading edge bucks?
Yeah.
Man, long time no see. How you doing, Frank? We got two Franks in here now.
Yeah, I'm doing all right now.
What wing are you making, Tom?
This is a Caprice wing.
Oh, that's a good one. Make me one too.
I don't know what the airplane will look like afterwards, but I know I'm making this Caprice wing.
Did Bob Hunt get you thinking about the Caprice from talking about it on here?
Well, Florida, and plus, you know, I bought this Caprice Lost Wing or Lost Foam from him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so right now, I'm not building no Warbird. I'm building a hot rod.
All right.
It's,
Yeah,
a,
it's nice.
it's a really good flying airplane.
Well, I don't know what fuselage I'm going to use. I really like I've seen a couple fuselages I've picked. I mean, I don't even have the plans to the Capri.
Oh, okay. You
Wow.
can ask them, you know, you're probably going to want to use the same size tail and
Exactly. Yeah.
the length and, you know, get the nose length right and stuff like that to balance it up and
Yeah. The nose and the tail movement.
anything you want.
Yeah. I thought, well, the thing I need to at least get done anyway is get the wing done.
Yeah.
My buddy, he's got I'm thinking he has the Caprice plans. If he does, and I'll just use that for the fuselage.
You got your Lost Foam all made up with got your alphatic resin all on the thing, so when you sand them?
I used polyacrylic Minwax.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I used water based.
Yes, that's what he recommends.
Get you a piece of 1/4-inch square tubing and sharpen it. So when you cut it makes it so easy to cut for your spars.
That's a good trick.
Oh, you mean in my ribs?
Yes.
I have a 1/4-inch stock piece, aluminum square tube or square tubing.
Oh, that you can sharpen?
Yeah, square stock. No, I just have a piece of 80 grit sandpaper on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you just get a piece of square tubing and sharpen it, and you mark all of them like he shows in this thing, you just set that on there and then just push down and it'll cut them out quicker than crap. And we did I cut all of them.
I see. Okay. Well, I just always
Quarter square, so it automatically, when you set that line, when you mark it on there, because he gives you the place to put the spar and mark it, you just stick it on there and just set it down and push down, bang. You cut the top one, bang, cut the bottom one, on to the next one.
Okay.
It's quick and they're perfect.
I'll try it. I'll do that. Yeah. Okay. I thought, well, at least get these leading edge bucks done, and it'll take 2 days for them to dry. And then I'm going to start cutting out ribs.
Well,
I mean, I was talking to Bob when I bought this Lost Foam. I don't have to use this for a Caprice wing. The Caprice wing, he says, is just a real good aerodynamic airfoil tapered wing.
Yeah.
He said, as long as you get the nose moments and the tail moments right, you can put anything on there that you want.
It's basically from a Usama, with the Usama is a big Nobler.
Yeah.
You know, it's about all the same airfoil.
Yeah.
They're all fairly close.
Yeah, that's what you know, I've seen the plane, and that's what I thought. That's what I'm thinking too. So you know, but yeah, I could use this wing on other things if I wanted to, because you know, at least I got a saddle.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you got a good airfoil. There's no reason not to, you know, make good use of that buck you built.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to a point where I could build like the same wing, but just use change the wing tips and maybe the fuselage, you know, the tail, and make it look like a warbird, or make it look like another stunt plane.
Well, hey, Frank Washburn.
Kind of what most people do when they build their own model. They say they build their own model, but what they actually do, they take an existing model, they modify some wing tips, and they modify some fuselage shape and stuff like that, and you know, there you go, you have a new plane.
Yeah, bam.
But in essence, they're the same plane.
Yeah.
Or you can do like I do, take a really good airfoil and build a warp into it, and that makes it yours. Oh, look at that.
No need to reinvent the wheel, the warped wing. Frank Washburn, I can't get a word in edgewise. Tell us what you've been up to since you last visited.
Oh, I've been going through a lot with the parents. You know, my dad passed back in September of 2017, and then mom was in the hospital for 2 months that following year. So I've been kind of busy with her, but finally getting to the point where I can get on here, do some work.
I know you've dropped in a couple of times, but I'm glad to see you back in our video session.
Frank, I'm in the same boat. I remember your mom and my dad is about the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Same with me for the last month. My mom fell, broke her arm, found out she had a heart problem. That's why she passed out.
Oh, wow.
After 2 weeks in therapy and stuff, got her home. She won't say how she did it. She chipped a bone in her wrist. So she has her one arm strapped to her chest, and the other one's got a cast on it. And she can't use either one now.
Oh, man. Dang, man.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it's just a real bear.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's funny today. My mom says, yep. She told me a couple of days ago. Got to be the doctor, 7:30 Friday. I said, all right. So I get up, go get her to the doctor's at 7:30. And they said, what are you here for? She goes, my appointment, 7:30 with Dr. Bardswell. He said, well, Dr. Bardswell ain't here. Your appointment was yesterday. And I'm like, oh, my God. I'm taking off work again, you know. So they said, well, we'll talk to him. Maybe he can work you in. Yep, he'll work you in. 2 hours later, we left that place. I'm like, oh my God, Mom, you got to quit doing this to me. But, you know, the only thing you really can do.
Yeah.
It's your mom or your parent, and you got to take care of it.
We're all at that age where we're starting to take care of our parents now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Most of us are anyway.
Yeah, both of mine have passed already, so.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I told Samantha to make sure she gets good grades and gets a good job so she can afford to support me in the lifestyle that I'm accustomed to. But I don't think she's buying that. I tried to sell it to her, but she's just not really wanting to buy it.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
He says that she's going to put me and her mom in a nursing home with a adjoining room so we can argue every day.
You better stop calling her short, man. That's what the problem is.
That's one quality that kids have. It's called brutal honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It can get really complicated depending on how many siblings there are, too.
Oh, shit.
well, she's the only sibling, so it'll be
Look what Doran's holding up for us.
My rig.
Mounted engine. Very
Yeah,
nice.
you got your rig there.
It's my rig. And this is what I was talking about. See these engines?
yeah.
They are identical.
Wow. Interesting.
No difference between them, except for this one. It's 820 kilovolts, which means for each volt you have 820 RPMs. This one is 680. So I want to test this guy on a 5S battery. I need to buy a 4S battery or borrow one from somebody.
Mhm.
To test the other one. I wish I had one, but oh well. So
What do you need? You need a 4S battery?
what?
You need a 4S battery?
Yeah.
I can send you a 4S battery.
Can you? You have one?
Yeah, I probably got 6 or 7 of them.
Oh. One, it's all I need. I'll send it back to you when I'm done with it.
All right.
Let's see if it's feasible.
Message me on Stunthangar or something, and we'll get addresses, and I'll ship you a battery down.
Cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
then that way you don't have to buy one.
What's your phone number, Steve?
231.
I wouldn't say it out
wait
here.
a second. Don't say it now. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I don't know your handle on Stunthangar.
Steve Hines.
Oh, Steve Hines.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll search you over there.
All right. Yeah, you'll find me in there. Yeah, and I'll send the battery to you. There ain't no sense of buying one unless you're gonna really use it.
Yeah, yeah. So
what size you want? Does it matter what size?
I don't care. I just want to find out what kind of, is the voltage that's important.
Right. Yeah,
matter.
I got what 3500, 33s, 2700s.
27 is plenty good for what I need.
Okay.
I don't need a big one. I just need one.
Okay. I can check.
You have Deans on it, or what do you have on them?
I think I'll have to check, but I think they're the CX or C whatever that. Can you see that one?
Oh yeah, I know those. Yeah.
XT60s.
I have adapters, but I'm really wondering if adapters take battery power.
No, they don't.
Because the one there when we were in France,
you have to do a good job soldering them. That's important.
Yeah, these are all soldered from the factory. You know, it may have been bad, but on the female part of it, the pin that goes in there, it got so hot it took all the tension out of the pin. And I had to cut it off and put another connector on there.
Yeah. So I have, this is what you have, right?
Yeah. Same one, yeah.
So this is a hack job I did. And this came with a charger.
Yeah.
And I need to go from here to charge the Dean, right?
Yeah.
So what I did, I just put one and one together.
Oh, okay.
Solder the ends and put the shrink wrap around it, and voila.
Yeah.
So if anything, I can make an adapter quickly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had an adapter, but it came from Venom, and the adapter took a crap, is what it was. And it was, I got one someplace, but it's like it looked like an all-in-one plug. There was nothing soldered. It somehow in that piece of plastic, it went from one to the other. And I thought it was hot when I felt it. So I used to, and I was like, man, that seems like that connection's getting hot.
So I already have it. See, I have hang on. Let me see something here.
I'm going to step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm going to get some.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some candy or something. I see Charles over there.
Yeah, I have the pale one.
Yeah, get some Halloween candy.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's Halloween candy.
Y'all keep an eye out for anybody trying to join up. Holler if you do, and I'll come running back.
All right. You can run now, Rusty?
I thought about that as soon as I said it. I'll get back as soon as I can.
I'm gonna call him Speedy Gonzalez pretty soon.
Yeah. I shouldn't tease him, but I tease everybody. So
if you don't tease people, that means it means you don't like them.
Oh, is that what it is?
The more crap you give them, probably the more you like them.
Yeah. Well, I was getting to know too. how well some people don't take jokes so well as others.
Yeah, some people don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so you got have kind of figure that out.
So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this guy here, which is the male XT,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna solder a. What do I need? I'm gonna solder a female on it. I'm gonna solder a female bean on it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna put these two guys together. So what you do, see how these connectors are pretty close?
Yeah.
Okay. What I do, I take a, you can solder it on one side like that. You see that?
Yeah.
And on the other side, you just cut a slot at 90 degrees with a Dremel tool, right?
Oh, and just slide the other part in it.
Exactly. So they kind of slide in each other. They stay like that, right? So it's very
Yeah.
easy to solder them after that. So you solder them well, put the shrink wrap on the outside, cut it out, and you're done. So I can plug this into your battery, and I have my DIN connector on the other side.
Oh, that's cool. And you're just using it on for the test stand, right?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, so I'd be safe, way safe enough no matter what, you know, for a test stand.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So I have three motors with three different batteries. One is a 6S setup, one is a 5S setup, one is a 4S setup. All three of them can go up to the RPMs that we actually require, around 10,500 to 11,000 RPM, right?
Yeah.
And I want to see how much, how is the power consumption, how does the motor respond on different throttle settings, and how fast it comes on and off. I want to see if it creates more heat or less heat, just to compare different setups.
Well, yeah, because I was wondering about that too. If you took, like, this motor here is a 960 for a 4-cell.
Mm-hmm.
And if you turn that down to, say, 6,500 RPM,
mm-hmm.
what the battery would consume. And then hook it to a 600 volt, or so it's 600, it's 6,500 per volt or whatever that is.
6S.
Yeah. Well, no.
Oh, a different one.
Yeah, this is a 960 kV. Run this with 4 and a 4-cell at 6,500. Then take a 650 kV
mm-hmm.
and run it with a 4-cell at 6,500.
Mm-hmm.
And see what the difference is. And
yeah, that's what I want to test. That's exactly my goal here.
yeah, because you can turn the ESC down to get 65, and you can turn it up to get 65.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I always wanted to see
mm-hmm.
where the motor, ESC, and all that was the most efficient.
I tell you right now, the motor is most efficient at 0 RPM.
Yeah.
Absolutely most efficient.
That's
because
potential.
you have the different spectrums. IC loves high RPM, lots of fuel. The more fuel you burn into it, the more power you create. Just common sense. Electrics are opposite. At low RPM, they create the most torque. They're most efficient.
That's why they call electricity potential.
Mm-hmm.
Potential energy. It's at its full potential when it's waiting for the switch to flip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of wondered, you know, what the difference would be on exact motors with just different KVs, run at the different speeds with different powers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I always heard there was a certain sweet spot, even an electric motor, at a certain RPM to voltage to KV and all that. And I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, it's absolutely true. I mean, look at, if you want something simple, a simple answer, look at the specs on the propeller testing that they do on those motors. When they put different propellers and what you're going to find out is probably going to be an interesting finding is that on electric motors, you can see a very wild selection of propellers that you can put on them. You can go from like a 8-inch prop to a 12, 13, even 14-inch prop. I mean, that's a huge change in propeller, right? But if you look at their testing, they use the big props at the low voltage and they use the little props at high voltage. Why? Because as they get higher and higher in RPM, they lose torque, right?
Yeah.
So they cannot spin they cannot turn a big propeller at high RPM.
Right.
They will turn a big propeller at low RPM, no problem over there. But at high RPM, they lose torque. And this is one thing I'm not buying when I see people going to the smallest possible electric motor to spin a prop, and then they can, you know, cook eggs on a motor by the time they're done with the flight. And they say, "Oh, it's so hot, I can't touch it," you know.
Yeah. Well, what I don't like about Cobra is on their propeller testing is they'll give a motor and here's some propellers, and then they'll put this battery on it and run it at 10,000, say,
Yeah.
for a 3-cell.
Okay.
And then they kick it up to a 5-cell, and they'll turn a propeller closed. You know, what more than 12,000 RPM? And I'm like, God, I can't compare that. Why you gotta, you know?
That's because they
change the batteries.
All of their testing is based on maximum voltage, right?
Oh,
or
because I'm like
nominal voltage of the battery. So if you run on 4-cell, they are looking at what's that, 14.8 volts, something like that. So they set the motor at 14.8 volts, and then they test that, or they change the battery to a 5-cell battery with the 18.5, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. And they test and they put different propellers, and they read the amperage and stuff like that, but it's based on a maximum. For our purposes, obviously, we cannot, that doesn't really pertain to our whatever we do with them.
Well, yeah.
But on the other hand, you can see you see the trend.
Yeah. But what I wish they'd do is that they have a motor. There's your, you know, there's a constant, and then they have an RPM, and make that a constant. Change the battery, change propeller, and show me thrust. You know, and then you can see how much amperage, you know, how many watts you're producing and stuff like that, to say this setup is the most efficient for battery RPM range.
Yeah.
But they don't do it.
No, I think quick and dirty and very crude, you lose efficiency when you introduce heat in the system.
Oh, yeah.
Things get hot, you're losing efficiency because that heat is coming from somewhere. And when it's coming from somewhere, the only place where it can come from is from the battery, from the electricity. You have to put so much juice into them, right? So they lose they lose efficiency, and they create heat. So if you have a hot running system, you probably don't have enough.
Yeah, because when heat goes up, amperage goes up.
Yes. Yeah.
Resistance goes up, amperage goes up. You know, because we're always testing that in heating and air conditioning. You know, when stuff gets to a certain temperature, you know, what's the resistance? You know, and the motors will break down, and the damn resistance will go crazy.
Here's a storyboard here. This is what I think, right? Say you have for a motor, you need something, right? You need a motor. So this is the weight of the motor, right? And no, let's say this is the weight of the motor, and this is the amps you use, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Right.
So as let's do it the other way around. Let's put weight here and amp here. I'm changing up my mind.
Saying weight or watt?
No, weight. The physical
weight.
weight of the motor. You put this on the scale and see how much it weighs, right?
Okay.
So as the motor, it's light. So the motor it's a light motor to a heavy motor, So it's a light to a heavy motor, like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
The amps kind of go like this, right?
Yeah.
Because the smaller the motor, the more amps it's going to need, right? But you get to a certain point where you kind of bottom out, right?
Yeah.
So from this point on, doesn't matter how much you increase the weight in the motor, and weight in the motor is power. It has to do more magnets, more winding and stuff like that. It's pretty proportional to the weight of the motor. Anyways, and because you can only put so much magnets and so much winding in that weight.
Yeah.
That's, common sense, right? So you get to a certain point where you kind of bottom out. From that point on, you kind of get the same amperage, right?
Okay.
So if you select a motor, I'll probably select it right here somewhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of the key, right? So what happens, because it uses less, the minimum amount of amperage, what happens there? Your ESC is running with ease,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It can be very small. I'm running average per flight 16 amps or something like that. Between 15 and 16 amps per flight average, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna go above and below that a little bit, right? I don't know how much. But I have a 66 amp ESC because I don't know what I need. I'm being honest, right?
Yeah.
But when the amps are low, then the battery has a very easy time providing the power to get to the motor. So what happens, you use less energy, you have used the least amount of energy, the least amount of power, so the battery gets smaller, right? Motors get big, battery gets smaller, ESC gets smaller, lower amperage means thinner wiring you can get away with. So everything is like you are robbing Peter to pay Paul, but you are robbing Peter, but you pay Paul double.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, here's a plain example. My buddy was using the Axie, F2B Axie with a 6S 2800 milliamps battery, 6 cell, and he was burning over 2200 milliamps per flight. Okay, which is right around 80% usage on the battery. So it was very stressed system right at the edge, right?
Right.
And I'm producing more power with much more ease at 1500 milliamps per flight out of a 2800 milliamp battery. Actually, it's more like 14, around 14-ish, right? If I want to do more maneuvers and stuff like that, where I use more battery, I might get into the 15, but that's as high as I ever went.
Wow.
And if I want to make a 6S battery that's 300 milliamps, I would probably save at least 3 to 4 ounces close to. Or is it? At least more than 2 ounces, at least. More than 2 ounces. And since I'm using because I'm using 15 amps average per flight, I'm thinking I'm going maximum of 25. So I could get away with a 33 amp ESC or 25 amp ESC as well. So I would save about an ounce on a ESC. I would save another 2 ounces on the battery. Probably save some on cables, from the battery to the power, because I'm running lower amperage. And you look on one side, on the motor side, I spend 35 grams on the motor, but I'm saving 50, 75, 80 on the other side, if not more.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. And now you have a system that runs with ease, right?
Yeah.
The motor doesn't get hot, it produces the power, and the bigger motor will respond a lot faster than a smaller motor. trying to accelerate and decelerate the propeller. The electronic speed controller, well, that one you can let it, build up a little bit of heat, but most of them will run nice and cool and fine. The battery has an easy time to provide the power to the motor. So that's this is the way I'm thinking right now. I may be wrong. I mean I don't have much experience with electric, but it seems to make most sense to me.
Well, that was like I was watching a thing on NASCAR, and their motors are, I don't know, they can make 750 horse or whatever on the dyno.
Mm-hmm.
So they took an old NASCAR motor, and on that dyno, instead of running the motor to run the dyno, they put an electric motor on it and spun the motor at the RPM range that motor run 10,500 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they measured how much horsepower it took to turn that at that RPM.
Mm-hmm.
It took more horsepower to turn it at that than what that motor made.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, the motor was making like 1,400 horsepower, but it was losing 700 horsepower just out of friction and vibration, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what they did was they said, well, if we want these motors to truly produce more horsepower that don't show up in the dyno, we just got to take out friction and all this out of the engine, how they polish bearings and this and that, And they found out the more friction they took out heat, which then all their stuff lasted longer.
Mm-hmm.
They could run it harder without breaking it.
It's hard to believe how much power ball bearings can add as opposed to bush bearings.
Yeah, and then the kind of ball bearings, and that's the other thing about electric motors. These guys in the flying is taking out the motors. If you run your electric motor at 100 degrees, or you run it at 160, the bearings running at 100 degrees are going to last a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
It puts a lot of fatigue. It heats all that, races up, it heats all that stuff up, and makes it expand and make it generate more heat.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of it to keep the heat out of anything for longevity on how stuff runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's why I was saying in some articles when I was answering to questions on Stunt News, and I said you probably want to use a bigger motor. And another thing I would probably say on top of that, in addition to that, is that this is another thing. I may be completely wrong on it, but if electric motors are more efficient at lower RPM, then it makes sense to use a bigger prop with more pitch.
Yeah.
Because you can achieve it just makes sense, right? So yeah. And as you run low RPM, then you need lower voltage, and it might get a little bit harder, but I don't know. I still have to look into it. So, but I think a big motor, it's an asset. It's not something that.
I tend to agree with you too, and I know you have your detractors on that topic, but being an electronics guy, yeah, it's true, and that point you made about being most efficient at zero it's hard to wrap your head around that when you come from an internal combustion background, and I think that's why people don't grasp why a bigger electric motor is a better option.
Yes. What I think they do a lot is they look at the motor specs and they say, you can use a 4S battery to a 6S battery on this motor, and you can get a propeller from 8-inch to 14-inch. And they immediately think, I can use a 14-inch on 6S. Yay! Woohoo! But it's absolutely wrong because if you look at the range of propeller, it's opposite with a battery size, right? The itty bitty prop goes with a high voltage, and the big ass prop goes with a low voltage.
Yeah.
It's as the voltage goes up, the propeller gets smaller.
Yeah.
So I think that's a misconception that everybody's,
doing.
I mean, what do I know?
Well, I know the other thing, because I was trying to think about all that, because I know when volts go up, amperage goes down. And I think a lot of people are looking at that as when they're doing these motors. If I put a bigger battery in there, I'm going to drop my amperage.
Well, yes and no. You might want to think about slightly different. You have an downstream and you have the upstream, right?
Yeah.
Downstream, I'd consider between the ESC and the battery, right? And you're absolutely right. As the battery gets higher voltage, lower amperage. So lower amperage, battery has an easy time providing the power. The ESC's job is to take that power and put it into the motor. So this is what I'm calling the upstream, right?
Oh, okay.
Power goes from battery to the motor, right? I'm sorry, it's the other way around, downstream and upstream, right? So upstream would be the battery and the ESC. Downstream would be the motor, between the motor and the ESC. Now, the ESC knows how much power, how much voltage comes in, right?
Yeah.
You can also set it to a maximum RPM. So you may get a lot of voltage that would burn the motor, but you can limit the maximum RPM the ESC is going to control the motor at, right? And that's where you limit the voltage the ESC puts into the motor. Does it make sense? Okay. So the more voltage you have, you're absolutely right. You have lower amperage. So the battery has a very easy time providing the power, right? And the ESC is going to do its job, and it's going to spin the motor at proper RPM, whatever you set it to. And in particular, the jetty spin that I have right now, it has both setups, right? So it's going to ask me, most ESCs, they're going to ask you what kind of voltage is coming into the electronic speed controller. They need to know that. So you program it for that particular voltage. And you also program it from what's the maximum RPM you want to turn this motor to.
Here's a question that might fit right into the conversation now. David Phelps says, KV is RPM times voltage. He wants to know, with the motor unloaded, is the objective to run slightly below KV RPM?
It's somewhere in a neighborhood. I mean, plus minus some. It's not, nothing is perfect, but it's pretty close with no load.
Now he says Werner von Braun is scratching his head.
That's why I was laughing. Yeah, on the chat, Doran, there's some conversations that are kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no way to see that conversation.
That's on the YouTube watch page.
When you're testing, you'll be able to find, because that was my whole question. If I want to turn 6,500 RPM with this propeller, will a 6-volt battery turning at that RPM use less amperage or less milliamps, or will a 4-cell, doing this at the same thing, where different cells on different.
The motor will demand a certain amount of power to spin the propeller at said RPM, right?
Yeah.
And because motors are rating in kilovoltage, you will also require a certain voltage to get to that RPM, right?
Right.
That's the ESC job, to give the motor voltage and to spin the motor at this such and such RPM. Now, you are talking about the upstream right now between the battery and the ESC. and
Right.
absolutely it's going to be more efficient with more voltage, and it's going to make the battery's life a lot easier.
Right.
That I would say yes to that.
Yeah, and then it's like, then if you're limiting voltage to the motor, does it really matter what you have back here for power?
I don't think it matters.
No. As long as there is enough there.
You need the power to get to the motor. Is
Right.
the battery capable of sending said power to the motor, to provide the power to the motor?
Right.
The answer is yes. Power is voltage times amperage, right? And you can achieve it with high amps, low voltage, or high voltage, low amps.
Right.
If you multiply it to get the same number, right? Now, high voltage at low amps is very easy on a battery. Low voltage at high amps is very hard on a battery.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why people that go to a 4S system, they use a higher C rating for the batteries, because the C rating has to do with like the ability of the battery to provide the juice, right?
Yeah.
So whatever the amperage rating is for the battery, let's say you have a 2 amps rated battery, right? And you have a C rating of 25, 2 multiplied by 25 means it can put out 50 amps continuously, right?
Yeah.
But at that high rating and stuff like that, actually the battery gets really hot at that point.
Yeah.
So you're kind of killing the battery. Now you can do the same thing with a, say, a 8-cell battery, right?
Yeah.
And a lower C rating, and or maybe the same C rating as voltage goes up. You know what? But the biggest problem I have with a high voltage system, like a 6S systems that we typically want to use, or we are trying to use, is that you have very little selection of what you actually need. Some of the lighter batteries that I was looking for in a lower capacity ratings, right? They just don't exist.
Well, I talked to John Pierce about that. We've been looking at batteries, and it's like, why can't we take a 1,000 milliamp 3-cell and tie them together? Wouldn't that give you?
You're gonna get a 1,000 milliamps 6-cell if you tie 2 of them together, or
Right.
you're gonna get a 2,000 milliamps 3-cell. Depends how you hook it up.
So I'm wondering why we can't just find our batteries and do it that way. You know, to
honestly, it's not practical, because I looked into that and I was looking at maybe I can find a lightweight battery, a 3-cell battery. It's lightweight in a 2,000 milliamps range. And when I looked at them, I said, if I add 2 of them plus the harness plus stuff like that, I'm already overweight. I might as well just go back to what I'm using right now. That's not my issue. However, if you could find one that, let's say Thunder Power decided to make a 2200 or 2000 milliamp 25C 6S, there'll be a lot lighter battery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then tying them together.
Then tying that together, yes. Or worst case scenario, I might have to hack one up. Get some of them, some smaller batteries, and put them together. But that's just another mess.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm looking at different things. I'm looking at the 5S systems, and you can find the 5S in
my bedtime. I gotta go.
Let me ask you a question first, Tom.
Yeah.
How wet is that wing you've got in the ace bandage that you were just handling a minute ago? Is it soaking wet, dripping wet?
No, I soaked it for 25 minutes, and then I just took it out and just let it set in the sink for a little bit.
Okay.
Why?
and then wrapped it. I was just wondering because I didn't see you wet it, and I assumed it was dry when you had it on the table earlier.
Well, I don't have a container. I took an old airplane kit box and lined it with visqueen plastic, and then put my hot water in there. I didn't put any ammonia because the ammonia takes the grain and it really messes the grain up and weakens it.
The lignin.
Tom, you just
You
give
ever try the bathtub?
Huh?
your wife before she goes and takes a bath.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
What's that?
You give them to your wife just before she goes to take a bath.
Yeah, tell them to play with
Take
those.
it, say, take these in the tub with you, hon, and
They probably wouldn't like that
Well,
bubble.
I don't have a tub. I just have a shower.
oh, okay.
Probably wouldn't
I can wash her and stop up the shower floor there for a little bit. But anyway,
wouldn't like
You
it.
know what I used to do when I was making molded shells for my built-up planes?
yeah.
I used to take 2 sheets of 116 balsa, and I would throw them in a bathtub and leave them there for a little while. Then I would pick one of them and I just stick it on the side of the bathtub, get some Elmer's wood glue, and smear it on top of it. Take the other sheet and just smack them together. And then I would put them on top of the mold with ace band-aids, and because there was a lamination of 2 of them, they held their shape very, very well.
Yeah.
And
And they soaked up
if I
that
was
Elmer's
going,
glue too, and it was probably really rigid.
yes, and if I was going to make another built-up fuselage from now on, I was going to use the same technique, but instead of having the top and bottom shells, I have 2 side shells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called clamshell.
Yeah,
build.
that's what Jeff Trexler did that with 2 clamshells.
Mhm.
Then he turned his balsa wood 45 degrees to each other.
Mhm.
Did the
Yeah.
same thing.
It's too stiff. I think they'll be too stiff to turn it around the mold and mold it.
No, yeah, I felt the airplane. Hell, I had to hold it for him. It was super light and it was really super strong.
Oh yeah, by turning that grain 45 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And he wrapped it. I mean, it really worked out nice. I mean, talk about something.
Now my other piece that I wetted down, I went to fold over and it cracked all the way down.
Ah, damn.
Yeah.
So I got all pissed off and I just watered it away.
I tell you, the other thing I did when I molded my stuff, got me some plastic wrap, stretched it out, wetted the balsa on one side, stuck it down on the plastic wrap, wetted the shit out of it with a spray bottle on the other, put over plastic wrap on it, let the damn thing set for a while, go back and check it, hit it again until it won't take any more water. And it worked that way.
Yeah, 6.5 does
let the balsa just absorb all that water.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, let me comment on one thing you said before, and then we'll let you go. You said you didn't use Windex because it breaks the lignin in the balsa.
No, the ammonia, yeah.
That's what I mean. But when it dries, that lignin reestablishes itself in its new shape.
Not what I went through, and not what I've heard other guys say on Stunthangar either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I
think I think the big problem over there is that you use a single sheet instead of a lamination of 2 sheets. When you put 2 sheets together, it's going to hold its shape and it's going to be very stable.
Yeah, with opposing grains too.
If you do just a single sheet, then it wants to always spring back to its original shape and stuff like that. For a leading edge on a wing and stuff like that, that's a completely different story because you want a single sheet for that. But if I was making a fuselage, I would definitely use 2 sheets of 116 balsa and make the clamshell. And the idea is that after you mold it, you put it horizontal on top of the table and you get a razor blade and you cut it nice and horizontal using the table as a reference. And you can do it the same on both sides. So then you can join it together very easily. And you don't need any formers. I don't think you need any of that stuff. Because when you mount your wing, and you glue the wing on a fuselage, or even if you don't glue the wing to the fuselage, there is some kind of a take apart system, you still have to have some kind of a reinforcement that holds the fuselage from collapsing.
Yeah.
Back. But I think the two shells will be a very, very lightweight fuselage and easy to make.
Yeah, that's what Jeff did a couple years ago. But yet, excuse me, he joined him to a keel, made a keel, and then joined all that in there. And then he had just a couple formers in there, not very many, and it come out really light and strong.
Yeah, there was in Pampa website, Chris Cox showed how he made his fuselage, right?
Yeah.
And he also showed how he made his box for that. And long story short, he took up a piece of he created the top the side view of the plane, put some.
I gotta go, guys.
Hey,
nice seeing you, Steve and Frank.
Yeah, take it easy, Tom. Hope your dad does better.
Yeah, he is. I'll be on more now. I'm in the building mode now.
Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. See you guys later. Take care.
Take care.
Boy, you're really concentrating over there, Frank W.
Yeah, I got about 50 formers to cut out. I got that Gillows B29 I'm building.
Yeah.
And I don't like the die cutting, so I took the patterns and copied them off and temporary tack glued them onto the balsa wood. And I'm going to cut out exact shapes because they don't match with the crap.
What do you got there first?
You have a B29 over there that has a roundish fuselage. That's perhaps the easiest way to do that, and it looks like a cigar. Perhaps this is perfect application for what we just talked about. Make a mold with foam, put saran wrap on, cling wrap on top of the mold, get 2 sheets of balsa wood, wrap them around with ace band-aids and stuff like that, cut it, join it, done. You have a fuselage. I mean, that's crazy.
I know, but I'm not flying this thing. This is a kit I'm building for a friend, and it's, I'm not trying to make it perfect.
Kind of a Dremel tool that you're using for cutting?
Yeah, it's a Dremel. I forget what they call it, a moto tool. Yeah, moto saw.
Oh, okay.
It's just a scroll saw, basically.
Oh, looks pretty neat.
Is that something new they came up with?
I don't know. I just did a search. I want a small scroll saw that I can hook to my bench, and I saw a Dremel. I was like, well, I'll check it out, and I like it.
I got an old Dremel scroll saw, but they quit making blades for it. Is that a regular scroll saw blades on that now and everything?
Yeah, let me try to find. I got my blades around here somewhere. But yeah, they're just like where they got the little T on both ends.
Oh, it's got the pin. They're pinned.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just goes in there, spring tension with this little lever here, and it tensions it up.
How long ago did you buy that?
I've had it about 6 months or so. I got it before Christmas.
Oh, so they must started making a scroll saw again, because Dremel quit making it for a long time. That you couldn't get a scroll saw from, and you couldn't get a table saw.
So this one you can take it apart and use it by hand or whatever you want to do with it.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that is cool.
And it just snaps in, and you can, it's kind of loud, but I'll let you listen to it. You can adjust the speed and everything.
Wow.
It works great. I've been cutting these formers out, and they're turning out really good.
All right.
I just quit one day. I don't know what the hell is wrong with it.
Oh, your Dremel scroll saw?
Not my Dremel scroll saw, just my Harbor Freight scroll saw, 16-inch scroll saw.
Yeah, I still got my Dremel. I bought a plexiglass table that went on it. They had fences and stuff and angle deals. It was pretty cool. The guy made that. It just sat on top of that, on top of the table, and you could use it. You could use it like a table saw.
Now this has like a thing you can slide in there and adjust your angles, and you can do the same thing with this thing too.
Yeah, mine doesn't have that. I really need it.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, it's called a Dremel Moto Saw.
Moto saw. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's portable, you know, I can put it away when I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I'll be getting the box.
Right.
I'll show you what the box looks like.
All kinds of information tonight.
I don't suppose that costs $100 or less, does it?
What does that go for, Frank?
You know, it's been so long, and I can't remember. It's about 150, something like that.
That's not too bad.
But it comes with one of these doohickeys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A minor guide.
Yeah.
We'll find it so everybody can see it.
Huh?
My 5S is ready for testing.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Hang on just a second after Frank's show and tell, and we'll click over to you.
I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for showing us, Frank.
Yep.
All right, Doran, show and tell time.
What? It's nothing. It's just a test stand.
Oh, it's all mounted up. Oh, cool. That is an awesome looking spinner.
This is actually I'm not sure who makes it. It's a
Looks like Dave Brown.
and I cut this vents into it, and it kind of looks like it's gonna, as it spins, it actually sucks the air inside. And
That looks just
the back plate is cut out quite a bit.
yeah. That looks just like the $15 Dave Brown spinners I use.
I think this is a Dave Brown spinner, and I just machined the stuff inside of it. I made the vents in it, and I cut out the back plate.
Yeah.
As well.
That looks really good.
Is your name Tryan?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Romania.
Oh, Romania. Okay.
Is that how you pronounce it? Tryan? I've been saying Tryan.
You see the cutouts I made on it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good.
I thought your name was Dorian or something like that.
That's his middle name, right?
Pardon me?
It's my middle name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I asked him where he's from too, and he told me Romania. And I'm like, "What time is it there?" And he's like, "Whatever." It was like 11:30. I'm like, "How now can it be the same?" He lives in Georgia. So, he forgets to tell him, like, where you, you know, we say, "Where are you from?" And we got to make sure. And where are you at?
Right.
Nobody is allowed to say where you at on my show.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe we're exactly 12 hours difference in time. Well, we weren't. We're just in the same time zone in the United States.
I'm trying to gather my stuff because tomorrow I'm going to do some soldering. I'm going to put some bullet connectors on the second ESC I have on hand.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm going to use for the bench testing. I'm not going to take the one out of the plane.
Now, do you have different size ESCs around or not?
Different what?
Like say maybe a 35 and a 50 in ESCs?
No, I don't.
Because that was the other thing I wondered, that if you had a little bit bigger ESC, would you drop amperage that way too? Because
no, I don't think so.
You know, I didn't know if the wires would be bigger, you know, to take it. Like you said about the motor, I was thinking the same thing. Bigger motor has more wires, more everything. A bigger ESC can have bigger capacitors, bigger, you know, maybe bigger wire or whatever else is in that.
I would say no.
Oh, okay.
So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna put the battery. This is a watt power analyzer.
Yeah, that's what I did
And
too.
the battery goes in here. This attaches to the ESC, and the ESC plugs into the motor.
Right.
And I have a servo tester. This guy here.
Yeah.
And you plug this into the. This plugs into the ESC directly, like that. And now I have output, the manual throttle control, so I can set it to whatever.
Very cool.
So I can find out the full power, how much RPM I create, right?
Yeah.
How much RPM I'm getting at full power. And this guy is still going to tell me how much watts I'm drawing, and how many was the voltage, the actual voltage, and how many amps I'm putting into the motor. And with that information on hand, you know exactly the what kind of size of electronic speed controller you actually need. So that's kind of the question I'm trying to answer here.
Yeah, because I thought about it both ways, you know, being a bigger. So I've had better luck with ESCs that were bigger than what I actually needed. You know, a lot of people say, "Well, I'm doing 35 or 33 amps, 35 amp speed controllers enough then." But I put them on like a 50, and I've had the speed controllers last, you know, ESCs last longer. And I just wondered if it's because more mass there.
Typically, the electric system kind of like to commit suicide, right?
Yeah.
If you have a big ESC, then the motor loves to commit suicide. You have a little ESC, then the ESC loves to commit suicide. It's one or the other, right? Unless you burn the battery, because the battery gives as much power it can give up, and then you ask more out of it, and then you kill the battery. You kill something anyways.
So Doran,
but when it comes to the electronic speed controller, if you have this power watt analyzer and you push it to the maximum RPM, and you know with that particular propeller you're using these maximum amps, you find the next size up on a ESC, you're going to be just fine.
So Doran, if you're using Igor's system, though, you're pretty much locked into the Jetty 66, right? Because
No,
I tried to buy one that was smaller from him, a 44, and he said he doesn't carry those because he, doesn't have enough demand for them. So I wanted a smaller system.
And somewhat it makes sense. You know why? Because we all look to save weight, right? And we all search to save weight on a plane. And obviously a smaller electronic speed controller is lighter. But what I found out is that between the 66, 44 or the 33, there's not much difference. It's maybe 10 grams difference between them. And I said, at that point, you know what, I'm only saving 10 grams here. I said, it's not worth it. And I said, I'm just going to keep the bigger ESC. It's not going to burn. It's going to run easy and stuff like that. And I got lucky on it.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to work on my plane downstairs. I don't have the computer down there, so.
What are you working on now, Charles?
I'm actually fixing my vector. Still repairing my vector from the incident I had last.
Oh, okay.
Before I went to the contest, so. All right, man. I'll probably listen to the show, but I won't be able to be talking. I'll be.
All right. Well, have fun.
Thanks, man. See you.
You still got flying weather. It was.
Oh yeah. Oh, make you sick how nice it was today.
On the way, I had to go to the funeral home. On the way there was 5 car crashes.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh man.
All the overpasses were frozen.
Yeah, and black ice and all that kind of stuff.
And then people were spinning out, bouncing off the walls of them, or the cement railings, was tearing up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no more flying weather here.
My 2 test pile.
I'll see you guys.
Okay.
Oh, let me
My
click on you.
test file.
See what
Wow.
you get with everything, huh?
That's a bunch of experimentation there.
Well,
You know,
guys, I'm going to sign off.
lately, I discovered these propellers that come from. I'm not sure exactly who makes them. These
That's
are
Zor.
this is not a carbon prop. It's a wood prop that's painted.
That's a Zor prop.
It's an Exor prop, yeah. And what
Yeah.
I've done, I put it on a pitch gauge to check the pitch on them. It's perfect. Pitch is perfect, and these props are actually CNC machined to the shape and stuff like that.
They're balanced from the factory too.
Yeah, they come pre-balanced. You see that dot over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They come pre-balanced, and you just bolt them on and then just fly them, and they are so well made. You know, I'm
That's
really.
all I buy.
What website do you buy those? XR.com?
No, I'll show
Yeah.
you. I got it on my thing.
Yeah.
I buy it from Just Model Props. JustModelProps.com.
Jeff's, Jeffs?
No,
Just.
Just, Just. Just Model Props.
Oh, okay.
You can get them from eBay, from Amazon, from just
Yeah, eBay.
Yeah,
eBay's a
I
good
buy them
place.
on Amazon.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They're not cheap either, but they're great props.
But you know, it's like still they're like $10 a prop. You know, a 12-inch prop, it's roughly $10.
Yeah.
And plus some shipping, obviously. But I think it's for $10. They're a super beautiful prop, well made. It's beautiful.
I got some of the World War II props.
Nice,
They got the yellow tips on them.
And a lot of times you get what you paid for.
Oh,
Did you say $10? That's what they cost. About.
It depends on the size. Mine are 16. They were 20 some dollars. 16 inch.
Yeah. Look at the quality they.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think you can even get them from Tower.
Yeah.
What kind of wood, I wonder? Do you know? Is it beech?
Beechwood.
Beechwood. Yeah.
And they make laminated ones too.
Oh, Terry Forbes says he flies those props all the time. He gets them at Amazon.
Guys, I'm going to sign off. I've been up since 4:30 this morning. I gotta.
Oh, mercy. Okay, Frank. We'll have a good weekend.
Yeah, have a good weekend, Frank.
We'll see
Come
you,
back
Frank.
on Monday.
Come back and tell us
See you
all
next
about it
Friday.
on Monday.
Next Friday? Well, we do it Monday night too.
I know, but I'm still working. I got to get up at 5.
Okay, man. Thanks
See
for
you
coming
later,
in.
Frank.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Here's an example of a prop that I'm talking about. This is a top flight prop, right?
Yeah.
And it says it's a 12-13-8 prop. Look at the pitch I got on it. It goes 8.2, 7.5, 7.5, 6.2. The other blade it's 8, 7.5, 7, 6. I mean, the pitch is everywhere.
Yeah. I found that my stunters kind of fell on their face when I put that prop on them. By falling on their face, I mean lost power. They didn't pull well.
Even the exhausts are not exactly super precise, but still they're pretty close. I mean, if you look at the actual blade that actually does the work, 7.5, 7.4, 7.2, 6.5. This other blade is the same, 7.5, 7.6, 7.2, 6.8.
Yeah.
It's very close to whatever they say it is. It actually is.
There's a Zor World War II prop. It's got the yellow tips.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 16.8.
Click on you there.
This is a 13.6, right? This is a top flight 13.6, and the pitch is 7, 7, 6.5, 5.5, 7, 7, 6, 5, 5, 5.
Yeah, and that's a PowerPoint.
So this is for sure not a 6-inch pitch prop.
Yeah.
It's a 7, actually. So you really have to check them out and see what you're getting.
I wonder if the pitch changes after they manufacture them. Maybe they cut them right and then it changes.
Maybe a little bit, but I really doubt it's anything dramatic. The funny thing is that I put this, I put a 12.5. I took this prop from plane and I put this one instead. And guess what? This 12.5 prop was almost better than the Igor prop. It's about the same weight too.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. They're light.
Oh yeah.
They're super light.
I wish I was gentle enough on props to be able to buy those and use them, but I'd be wasting my money because I'd break it.
When you like those Zor, when you like the wooden prop, that Zor prop is a good prop. Now, in
Well, if that's the case, Rusty, you got to build a Pathfinder because that has the nose wheel, and you won't tip it over and break the props.
Well, I'll still hit the ground at 80 miles an hour. Nose wheel or not.
Yeah, that ain't gonna save any prop.
Yeah.
This 16.8 prop that I have, that Zor prop, weighs 47 grams.
Yeah.
47, really? Oh, I'd love that. I used to have a scale like that or a balance like that. I'd love to have one.
I bet you did. You're.
I got the.
You wore it out, huh, Rusty?
I run that 13.5 on the Zor prop on that 77. I like that Zor prop.
See, I got to get one of them now because they legalized marijuana here in Michigan.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Just yesterday?
Tuesday,
yeah.
that's 67% or something like that.
You can balance you can weigh your grams.
Yes.
I just need one to weigh in ounces.
He just wants to weigh pot.
I told everybody I'm going to become a farmer.
Terry Forbes has got one of those on his 3-cylinder Sato. I bet that's a cool setup.
So the 12.5 is 16 grams. That's pretty light prop for a 12-inch.
Yeah.
And it looks like if you go up to 12, this is a 12.8. This is a 12.8. It's 18 grams. So you can probably say that's a 12.6, I think. 18 grams. And that's 19. Yeah. But you need to think about, like, yes, this more pitch is going to be a little bit heavier because it's more hub.
That's
more surface at the hub. But if you think about the more pitch, you're going to spin it at a lower RPM than a small pitch.
What is Igor's prop weigh?
I'll give me a second.
I think around 13 or something like that.
Let me take it off the motor and.
Jay, that's that 2-blade. That's a carbon fiber also.
No, it's wood.
It's a wood.
Painted black.
Yeah, they Exor just paints them black. They have
paint them black.
Yeah, you can buy
them. A lot of profit. They're wood grain.
You can buy them like this.
Now, are they lighter? The ones that aren't painted?
Yeah.
I think they're
they'd be lighter.
Same weight.
Well, either one's going to be painted lacquer or paint, I guess.
Or clear.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but they have put a lot of clear on this. It's like paint.
How big is that one there?
They also put paint on this one, so I'm thinking just it should be about the same.
Is the one the natural? Is that the same size, or is that a bigger prop? Or
oh, this is the one I use in the nets.
Oh no, that's Igor's. I meant that other Zor prop you have there with that that's clear. What size is that one?
Oh, that one? I mean, I have a bunch of them. This one in particular, it's a 14.8.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you can't really then weigh them apples to apples.
Yeah.
Just, on the Roadjet 76, I run a 14.4 Zor.
What happens if you mix clear with colored dope?
You get color glow.
Yeah. Basically, that's what paint is. It's just pigment mixed with dope.
Yeah.
All right, so the Igor prop is 17.5.
Oh, okay. So basically the same.
They're 15, but they're not. This one, it's an 11-inch prop under cambered, and it weighs 17 grams.
Okay.
It's not hollow, right?
These are both 16.8 Zors.
Uh-huh.
And the painted one is actually lighter than the lacquered one.
Okay.
By 1 gram. By 1 gram.
Oh, okay.
So it really ain't much difference.
Yeah, so pretty close, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can I say?
The closest you get to what the Revo props were.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had more ground clearance because I really wanted to try this big bad boy. 14-inch props.
Get your set of 3-inch wheels and stick on there.
Maybe longer gear legs or something like that.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if you don't have a chance to make up gear legs, if you get them, the ones I showed them, shit, I can't think of the name of them wheels now. No. Shit, I can't. I popped up. I got you guys the names of them aluminum ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much difference between a 2-inch and a 2.5.
MPI wheels?
Huh?
You mean those MPI wheels you're showing?
MPI, yeah. Them MPI wheels are light, and you can go with a taller wheel, and being made of aluminum, they're not going to wobble or anything anymore. They're stiff enough to, you know, that there's really no difference. I run 2.5, I run 2-inch, and I don't really see any difference just because that aluminum, that billet of aluminum is so strong.
2.25, 2.5. I'd like to go a little larger too, but I don't want that extra drag. So I can swing a bigger prop and go from 13 to 13.5.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like the Exora 14 inches are about 24 grams. I don't think I have a 13 here. I wish I did. A 14.5 is 21 grams. Man, this is light. 14.6 is 21 grams.
No shit.
This is light.
Yeah.
Weight has a lot to do with how much stress you put on the motor, in electric especially. It's how much load you put on the motor. Yep. So I guess you know kind of answers my question. I think my two blade 12-inch prop is the same weight as a Igor prop. And I have 1 extra inch in diameter, which actually with a 12.6 I have a better flight. It flies better.
You said it was 17 grams, right? The Igor.
17.5.
17.5. I said, yeah.
Yeah, 17.5 on Igor and 18 on the other one.
Yeah. Half a gram. But
a little more than half a gram.
Yeah, think about this. I spin this one a lot faster than a 6-inch.
1.5 ounce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I spin the other one slower, I'm up on precision. And that's another thing. It's like we could probably get the same thrust and same speed with a bigger prop and higher pitch, spinning at a much lower RPM. In which case, the electrics love the lower RPM, anyways.
No.
So
I always thought, you know, when you go to a bigger diameter prop, you can turn the RPM down even with the same pitch. You just get more thrust. You get more thrust out of them. They're more like a track.
Yeah. But if you go with a bigger diameter, I think it's you almost have to go to a higher pitch and lower the RPM even more.
Oh, okay.
Not true, because I went to the high, well, 14-inch prop on my road jet, and I lowered the pitch.
Mm-hmm. Well, but it's a road jet. It's an IC motor.
Road jet 76.
Yeah.
Yeah, IC motor.
I went from running a 6, I went down to a 5, and then I went down running with a 14.4.
Mm-hmm. You are loading the motor properly. I mean, I think what you're doing is searching for a proper load for the motor.
Yeah.
And that's different.
Yeah, see, I did it different. I went to a 13-inch 6.5. No.
That's what I'm doing, though. Yeah, but I'm trying to find a different way to load the motor and still get the power thrust through it.
Mm-hmm.
To pull it, I get to load the motor down and still get the pull and the power thrust through it, so you keep your lap time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, just like I think in IC, first you find out the proper load for the motor. Then once you find the proper load, you find a pitch to get your speed. Then once you have these two in your hand, you can figure out how much fuel you are actually using.
Right.
That'll be the last thing I would do.
Yeah, you run a full tank and you just keep going until you get your motor set where you want to be. Then you start playing with your fuel consumption.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, that's the thing with that is, you know, even with pitch and in diameter, like with a road jet, okay, they end up getting way out there on the lines. You know, they got like 67-foot lines or whatever, 66. And even though the lap times are slower, the speed of the airplane is still faster. So when you're turning a 5-foot corner, you're turning that corner faster. That airplane's traveling faster. So it makes it harder to turn the airplane and everything.
Okay.
You know, so I like to get them to fly on the shorter lines. And to have your lap time with shorter lines, it's a lot easier to turn that airplane.
Well, sometimes you're being tied up by a propeller, you know, so because you can find this prop and stock prop and then it's certain pitch and certain diameter, and the engine is very happy with it, and then it gives you so much speed, then you can play with the line length to get your lap time.
I just, you know, like I said, I keep working with propellers to keep the line length down. You know, because that airplane is flying faster when you're on longer lines.
Mm-hmm.
And when you fly faster, that means it's harder to turn that airplane, to make it turn.
Yeah, true.
You know, see, you go higher in your RPM and you make the plane move faster and you lengthen your lines.
Right, and you got to figure like your loops. Your loops are faster. You know, they're out there. If you're keeping them, you know, the same size,
right?
That airplane's traveling faster, so that it's actually making everything faster. Triangles faster. If you really have,
that's what I did with my one airplane that I had today. Once I got it where I liked it to that point, I started going faster. I said, now I'm moving too fast with it. So once I got it to actually pull the plane correctly and I was comfortable with it, I actually lengthened the lines. I went from 64s, I went to 65 foot, and then dialed it in there and got it more comfortable.
Yeah, it's more comfortable on your level laps, but on your maneuvers, they're faster. The airplane's traveling faster.
Airplane travels a little faster. Sometimes it also travels a little wider, a little larger.
Yeah, but you stay in the AMA specified.
You start bringing out your maneuvers, and then you get marked down because your maneuvers are too big.
Yeah. If you stay in the AMA specified grooves, then it's noticeably faster to the pilot if you're on long lines.
Right. And I think people fly with longer lines to get more line tension. They're happier with all that damn line tension out there to keep it out on maneuvers because the airplane ain't trimmed well and stuff like that.
You can run the motor faster and put longer lines to it, and the plane will move, and it'll come through. So you'll have the tension that way.
Right.
You'll have the tension in the pull through maneuvers until you comfort it out. But then you still have to. That's still trim adjustments. You still have to work on the airplane yet with.
But that's the one thing with electric too. You can fly that at the lap times you want, stay on 60-foot lines or 58s. I mean, we got Samantha down to 58 feet on that Vector electric, shorting them right up. And the airplane, you can really tell it's going slower. So when you're flying down and making that corner, you can slow it with the motor. But we're flying it on a constant speed ESC. So it's just constant speed and it's flying down slower because the airplane is not traveling so fast, making a bigger circle. You can figure out, 5.2 seconds in a, 70-foot circle compared to a 60-foot circle. The same lap times, how fast you're going, how much slower you're going with shorter lines. It gives you more time than your maneuvers. The plane isn't traveling as fast.
Yes and no, because the smaller the circle you fly, the tinier the maneuvers get. It's proportional.
Well,
no matter how big is what line length you have, right? Because as you get shorter and shorter, also the sphere on which you fly gets smaller, and your 45 degrees is 45 degrees regardless how big the sphere you are. So you may fly slower on the sphere, but because you get the same lap time, you still have a much tinier maneuver now to be per rules. So that might be an issue over there.
Well, the longer lines is gonna give you a more proportional shape that way.
Now, how about a 90-degree corner?
That's the problem what you're gonna get on the short lines, because the maneuver is tiny. Your plane is cornering ability. Yeah, well, you can say like you fly faster on longer lines, a little bit faster, but you have longer straights too. So I don't know. I think 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Because when I said if you're flying at 70 miles an hour, so your plane is traveling 70, you got to make that corner. How long it has to make that? You have to be faster on that and stop it faster than say if you're flying at 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, but you have to fly on 10-foot lines as well instead of 70-foot lines, right?
Yeah, but you're still doing a 90-degree.
And now your maneuver it's only a 10-foot maneuver on a tighter corner, so it's still right period to pay pull. I don't know.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know what you're saying on the flats, but on a corner, that speed doesn't change.
You're still your corner. You're still going to get your corner. It's just
right. The corner speed doesn't change.
That's how you have to
10 miles an hour, and you gotta change to this direction. It's a lot slower than going.
Correct. But you have,
even if it's big, if it's 5 foot, it's still 5 foot.
Yeah, but 5 foot when the maneuver is 10 feet tall, you're having a loop. Right?
No, you still, that has to be completed within a 5 foot.
Correct.
A 5 foot radius.
I didn't say no to that, but if your lines are so short and your 45 degrees, about 10 feet between low and top, you can have your 4 or 5 foot corners within 10 feet, and that's a circle. So then the judge is going to scratch their head. Was that a 5 foot corner, or was it 10-foot loop, or?
If your lines are a quarter of a mile long, then it looks like square, exact 90-degree turns.
Yeah. So, so yeah, I mean, it's just like, I think with small changes, so say from 60 to 70 feet, or, it's not so big. But if you go, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think you have that much more speed either way. And because the maneuvers get a little bit larger, yeah, I guess you can get a tighter corner technically because you're flying slower. I like my plane. It can corner. That thing can turn.
But
I tried everything at 60.
go shorter lines once and slow everything down and see what you think. Just try it.
Everything at 60 and work up and down from there.
I might try it. Yeah.
Yeah, try it.
I tried shorter lines like that, and I didn't like it because everything just seemed too close to me that way. And I liked it further out. Yeah, I felt the more perspective, more where it was further out and I had more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The vision, you see it close to you.
Yeah. But in general, planes, as they pick up in speed, they become more efficient and they like it better. They fly better at higher speed.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Well,
you can get the same exact plane at low speed versus higher speed. And when it starts to move through the air, man, he loves it. Right?
Yeah, it depends on how it's designed.
Yeah, true.
You break the speed. You break the speed of sound with one that's not designed for it, and it comes into a whole bunch of little pieces.
It really depends on how you trim your airplane.
Yeah, that's how you trim. But if you knock down, just try it once and see what you think once.
Yeah.
If you want to fly really fast on long lines, you better have really stiff control surfaces because the loading of the air pressure on the wings and control surfaces is a lot higher.
When I was shooting trap,
it's not stiff. You want to
no, it's still angled, and people, the farther a target gets away from you, the more accurate you have to be, because at 16 yards, you're shooting 30 yards out, and you can be off your target by a couple inches and break the bird. But when you get out there at 45 yards, if you're off by 1 inch, you've missed the bird. Mm-hmm. That's how critical that, because angles grow as you go out. So you're seeing it here, and if you're 1 inch out, by the time you're off on an angle, you've missed the whole thing with a 30-inch pattern. You think if you're throwing BBs out with a 30-inch pattern and you miss that, how in the hell can I miss that little target? Mm-hmm. But 1 inch at 45 yards, you'll miss it with a 30-inch pattern. Further stuff gets away from you, the harder it is to see to make your decisions on corners and everything else.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had more practice because I can speak for that. I think my whole life, maybe I had 400 flights, if that.
Yeah. Yeah. Try a little bit on shorter lines to slow the airplane down, and that was what one of the old guys. It was John Natavio. Mm-hmm. Well, it was shorter lines to fly it slower, and it's like you can control it better, you can see it better. Mm-hmm. Your eyesight's better, all that stuff. Closer stuff is to you.
That's the way you flew that Falcon.
Oh yeah, you fly that slow as shit, and just, and I'm thinking that dumb bitch is gonna fall out of the air. You can't fly an airplane that slow. Yeah, because he flew it at 5.6, between 5.6, 5.8 lap times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you need a very well trimmed plane for that. Even at 5.556, when I was flying my plane in 5.556, good grief! I mean, I can read the book and fly the pattern at the same time.
Well, yeah,
just from 5.3 to 5.6, even though it's not a huge difference. I mean, actually, when you fly it, it's huge.
It's a large difference.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
Terry Forbes flies his newest on 100-foot lines. He's got a 52-inch custom combat twin boom with an Avistar 61, and this is RC. But wait a minute, wait a minute. My latest creation, 52 inch custom combat twin boom, Avastar 61 with a Robart RC throttle. Okay, 2-channel throttle, and smoke and streamer drop, 100-foot braided fishing lines. That's what he tells. He says he's going to do a show and tell next time he joins us live. So we'll have to wait and see that.
Yeah, I want to see it.
You're right though about the timing on that, because a lot of guys go fly 5.1 laps, and then you try to push it to a 5.4. It's a big difference. You see the plane react differently.
Yeah.
Another thing we found out was, and it goes back to trap, is that we always turned up the speed of the targets and the angle in practice at that speed for most of the day. You turn it back to normal, it seems like everything's in slow motion.
And there's not much difference between them, huh?
Yeah, and it's the same thing. We were trying that with Samantha. We just started trying it because we went to electric. To have her practice at 5-second, fly 5-second pattern. Go out there, put a few of them in, then go back to your settings and fly at 5.4. It's like there was brakes on the airplane. She just felt, she's like, I don't like doing that no more. She goes, because it's like I'm actually waiting now to turn, and I don't like that feeling. It's like I had to wait for it to get there. Because it's all, your mind.
Yeah, I see.
So you can practice fast, 0.2 faster, cut it back to add 2 seconds to it, and see if that makes a difference on your timing and everything else. But it's hard to do on an icy airplane. But it was real easy to do on that electric. To practice at one speed and then go back to a slower speed and see what that does. And that was just my idea from how my coach, if I'm coaching the Olympic team and stuff like that, how they practice for the Olympics and in their shooting. And it's, he always said, practice hard, shoot easy. That's what I told Samantha, practice hard, fly easy in your con.
Hey guys, I'm going to sleep here. Y'all are welcome to stay.
Yeah, I've been up since 5:30 this morning, so I gotta hit it up. Be worthless tomorrow.
All right, y'all want to call it night?
Good night. I'm out
on Monday.
All right. I found out to tell everybody the Las Vegas Circle Burners has their stunt challenge contest this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Updates on that.
I wish I could be there.
Yeah.
They have the private jets.
They posted for updates on that.
All right. We'll watch for them on Stunthangar. Have you somebody post them on there and stuff, and I'll keep track of them.
Yeah, we'll be posting it.
Okay, guys. Y'all do something fun this weekend so you can come back Monday and tell us about it.
All right. Take it easy.
Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. And you guys on YouTube, same thing. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Good night.
Good night.
See you later, Stephen.